Jay Crawford, Adam the Bull, Garrett Bush, and so many big names, it would take me hours to say all of their names. The ultimate Cleveland sports show. Booyah!
Welcome to the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show. It is Friday.
Finally.
Thank God it's Friday.
Long week, baby.
Jay Crawford, G. Bush, Tall Man's in, Brad Sellers. Great to see you. Where do you get a shirt that big?
What
is that, like a
big and tall man shop?
Is that a double XL?
I think my kids bought it for Christmas. You know, they want to remind me that I don't go to Maryland. I go to Ohio State.
Right.
That's exactly
By
right.
the way, I'm very angry about
And Adam
something.
the Bull.
Thank you. I'm very angry about something. Put the camera on me, thank you. You know, the big and tall man stores out there are crap. I got a beef with the big and tall man stores. They got plenty of shirts for guys like Brad, even though he's 7 feet tall. Who the hell would think to make a shirt for 7 foot tall?
Wait,
person?
you can't get an Ohio State T-shirt?
I can't. Everything in the big and tall man store is either for tall, skinny guys or tall, fat guys. They make nothing for short, fat guys. Nothing.
Discrimination.
I'm spitting on myself. The only shirts I can find are too long. It's like I'm wearing a nightgown.
So to get it like 3X, it's got to be.
Exactly.
Wow.
What am I, the only short, fat guy on the planet? There's a lot of us out there.
No, you can cut off the bottoms. Not so we see your, you know.
What am I, wearing a belly shirt?
No.
I'm a college girl
You
in
can
spring
cut off
break.
a little bit of it.
Should I wear jorts also?
No, please don't wear jorts, Bull. Please don't wear. Can we get someone on that? That's a problem that seems like it should be easy to fix.
They need to open a store called Short and Fat. I'm telling you, they'd make a ton of money. Short and fat.
Bull, why don't you do it?
You know, that's not a bad idea.
He couldn't find nobody to work the register. Don't nobody work now. Don't you know?
No, I know.
I'll pay him good.
The Great Resignation. Nobody wants to come to work.
We were just talking about the Great Resignation. Yeah, you can offer him $25 an hour and you're not going to take the job.
Nah.
Welcome to the program. We're excited today because coming up to start today's show, we told you yesterday that Keith Byars was going to come on, the legendary Ohio State running back who had a terrific career in the NFL and just an all-around great guy. But we're also pleased to tell you that it's sort of going to be a Buckeye twofer today, really threefer, because Brad is here. But also, Brad, you tell us who's going to be joining Keith, because I'm sure you're the one that worked this out.
Well, so my man Keith has joined us for the continuation of the conversation about this legendary game that went down Ohio State between Ohio State football and Ohio State basketball. And I know Chris Carter was going to join us last time, and we're going to have him on in the future.
We are.
So I reached into my grab bag here because I was like, I'm not going to be double teamed here. So I said I went and got my college roommate, who is Dennis Hopson, Ohio State's all-time leading scorer, third pick of the NBA draft in '87, head coach out at Loyola University now, who was also involved in the game.
Which makes it even more astonishing that you guys lost to football.
I know.
players.
Was he as cocky as you are? Because you were cocky. You've admitted it.
We're roommates. So.
Now let me.
So there was equal cockiness.
Now let me get this right. In this game, you had who you were what
number 9.
Number 9.
Right.
You had number 3 overall.
Yeah,
and this is overall. This ain't like just 2 or 2. Like this is overall. And did you have anybody else on that court that got drafted?
No.
So here.
That's all they needed.
That's all they
Bush.
needed.
My goodness,
Two
top 10 picks, and they lost to the football
players. And these football players was getting buckets. I got to hear this. I got to figure out how this went down. Good gracious.
So Keith and Dennis are going to join us very, very shortly, top of the program here. In the meantime, let us kind of run through what else we're going to talk about. We've been doing these ESPN survey rankings, which I find fascinating. They're done by coaches, players, executives, filled out surveys, ranking position groups, quarterbacks, on and on. Today we're going to focus on the wide receivers, which oddly enough, we don't have a Cleveland Brown wide receiver in the top 10.
No, not even in the others receiving votes.
Yeah, which was astonishing.
Yeah.
So we're going to talk about that. And we're also going to have DeQuell Jackson and Aditi's on today.
Yes.
We'll do our top 5 and our final takes. We have a full show. But McNuggets has given me the cue. Are the guests ready to go? Are they in?
They are in, and as always, when we bring on Buckeye legends to the show, It's brought to you by Gridiron Guys. Looking for a local roofer you can trust? Family owned since 2003, the Gridiron Guys have grown to become Northeast Ohio's top-rated roofers. We exemplify quality work practices and are a valued resource for homeowners and offer a 10-year workmanship warranty. Call 330-573-7967 today for a free estimate or roof inspection. And guys, I'm honored. Honored.
You gotta wait.
I know. I forget you do the gridiron.
Gridiron guys. You gotta give me a moment to do my jingle.
My bad.
Right out loud.
Yeah,
Well, listen, when we have guests like Keith Byars and Dennis Hopson, it's hard to wait. And we are honored to be joined by the two Buckeye legends now. What's up, Keith? What's up, Dennis? Thanks for joining the Ultimate
guys.
Team Sports
There
Show.
they go.
Wow, look at that ring.
There we
How you
go.
doing? Hey, KB, I reached into the grab bag on you, baby.
See, you surprised me with Dennis. I know I'm going to see him in a couple of days, but that's okay.
We
That's
gotta
good.
talk about
Good.
that
That's a
ring. Look at
surprise.
that ring.
It was gonna be you and Chris against your boy, but like, yeah, not this time.
Not this time. Not this time.
How you doing, my friend?
Wow.
Both of you guys, how y'all doing?
I'm doing awesome. I'm doing great. You know, that's why I'm glad we're doing it now because after I get off this interview, I got some guys up on the golf course.
Oh yeah, I know you got. I know you got.
So I'm going to play golf.
36 for you. I appreciate you taking the time in here, and then obviously Dennis, who's the head coach at Loras University in Toledo, is taking a moment out of his time. But KB, you know, the guys here whet the appetite a long time ago about this game, right? They're stunned that two top 10 NBA draft choices lost to Ohio State football players. They want to know how in the heck this even went down.
Well, you know, like the story goes, right? It's not just a story; it's the truth. We used to always laugh and joke with each other in school. We would always come back and say, "You guys play basketball. We can play your sport. We don't play football because we're athletes. You guys are basketball players, even though we know we're all athletes." So, and so that's how it all got started. You know, we all came back, you know, playing basketball some way, shape, or form, you know, growing up, you know, in the neighborhoods that we grew up in. And so basketball was probably our first sport to play because that was all it takes is one ball and, you know, five guys or however many guys you're playing, whether you're playing 5-on-5, 3-on-3, 1-on-1, 21, whatever the game is, we all grew up playing basketball.
Hey, KB,
and we all have an affinity for it.
KB, tell them, because this is pre-ESPN and the internet and everything else. So you went to what high school, and how historic is that high school in Dayton?
Well, I mean, I went to Dayton Roth High School. You know, we won 3 state championships in our, you know, really not long existence. We opened in the late 50s, and I was the last graduating class in 1982. So shout out to our 40th year anniversary. And my junior and senior year in high school in 1981 and 82, we were back-to-back state champions. And then in 2020, we had just got inducted into the Ohio Basketball Hall of Fame, you know, so that was a great honor. So to be a part of those teams and being a vital role at that high school, we used to get at it, and it was our head coach was Mike Haley. You know, we played 94 feet of one-on-one basketball. So we played an up-tempo brand of basketball. So that's how we was able to negate some of you guys' height. You got a 7-footer. What is Dennis? 6'6", 6'7". You know, we got it. The only way you can beat that is with speed. Or, you know, well, you don't necessarily beat it. To slow it down is with speed. And that was one of the keys to the game.
So let's bring it full second and Hop jump in here. So Keith, set it up. Tell us how we got from the study table to the argument to Jesse Owens wreck where we played this game.
Well, yeah, it started at the study table. It carried over into lunchtime in the cafeteria. And, you know, during the winter times, we don't have a training table. So we were at dinner, but that one day at lunchtime, Brad was just talking mad crazy, you know, to me, to Pepper, going off. And, you know, Brad is 7'1". And, you know, when he gets to talking and he's standing up, everybody's going to notice him in the cafeteria. Not only do they notice him, Brad gets up and stands on the chair and makes an announcement. Tonight, Jesse Owens, we're going to put these football players in their place. We're going to spank them for once and for all. And it was like, oh, man, we were fired up. We couldn't wait to play y'all that night.
So
we were fired up.
Tell them who was on the team, Keith, and then I'm coming to Hop. Who was on the team?
We have myself. on our team, we have me, Pepper Johnson, William Roberts, Thad Jemison, Chris Carter. I mean, we were loaded, with talent. But a quick little sidebar, anytime during my 4 years at Ohio State, any pickup basketball game I played, whenever I had Pepper Johnson, no matter who the other three was, we were undefeated. So when Pepper was playing, I was playing. We weren't going to put our streak on the line to, let y'all put an L in our column. As long as me and Pepper played together, we always won no matter who we played. So going against y'all was a formidable, opponent, no doubt. We're going to come to the game at St. John Arena and cheer you guys on. So now to get an opportunity to be on the same court and play with you guys, that was a challenge. We look forward. That was our time to be basketball players.
So Hop, jump in this thing because you and I just thought we were going to dust these guys off. It was going to be no contest. This was going to be a quick, easy zip, snap, and drop. We walk over there, Hop. What kind of crowd did we have, Hop?
We had a major crowd, but I'm going to back up a little bit because, hey, Keith, I don't know that we lost. I don't know. I mean, my memory is bad, so I can't actually say we lost or won, but I'm going to go.
I can give you the score.
Because, yeah, you got a great memory.
50 to 44.
You got a great memory.
50 to 44. We would say, call your own fouls. 50 to 44. I mean, we would have fouled out if we would have put a referee in the game. But it wasn't that game. We don't play like that. We just play. You make a call, take the check ball, go to the top of the key, and play. So that's what we did. It was old school.
You forgot the side bet. The side bet was $25 a man. And $25 back in the 80s was like $500.
A lot of money.
Because we didn't have
Absolutely.
any money. Ohio State didn't give you nothing. You couldn't even get a meal.
That was a lot of Subway sandwiches.
Listen.
I love that Keith remembers the exact
I know.
score.
It's amazing that Keith remembers this score.
I can't forget it, 50 to 44. Because we said, usually a game like that, you go to 11 by 1. Or you go to 24 by 2. We're like, no, we need some cushion. These guys, let's make it worth the while. We're going to go to first team to 50. And we end up winning 50 to 44. I could never, ever forget that. It's locked in here. Well, never going to forget.
I'll say this. How long did it take us to realize that we were in a dogfight that we didn't expect to be in?
It didn't take long because of the physicality. You guys are too physical. Like you said, Keith, with Pepper Johnson out there, yourself, and all the other guys, former basketball high school players, and as physical you guys were, hey, man, it didn't take long.
Right. So we sat in this thing. And I just tell you that after a couple trips up and down, this was going to be harder than I thought it was going to be, right? And so to G jumping here, because G really wants to know how you got 2 top 10 picks. So let's talk about it. I go number 9 in the 86 draft. Overall number 9. Hop goes number 3 in the 87 draft, right? So there, in totality, there are 10 players in this entire world taken before us. We should have been able to dispose of them. And what I found out was, that's why I referred to the internet. I only thought basketball was really played in Cleveland. I didn't respect nobody in Columbus or Dayton or Cincinnati or nothing like that. At Middletown. And all I came to find out was, man, they can play.
Yeah, they're ballers.
They're ballers.
Who was the best player on the football team? Do you think?
Keith, go ahead and answer the question.
Who's the best player on the football team? Best basketball player on the football team?
Ooh, that's a good question.
Like, who could have been is there anybody could have been an NBA
about one of the players who played in that team. No, probably Doug Smith. His nickname was Momo.
Oh, yeah, Momo.
Doug was from Atlanta. Yep. He's from Georgia. He was player of the year in football and basketball in Atlanta.
Wow.
The year he came out of high school. I mean, he had range, he had 3-point range. He could drive the ball, he could dribble the whole 9 yards. So he probably had the best, basketball resume coming in. Chris Carter was probably a close second. Those were probably, as far as basketball players. I'll probably put myself somewhere, around my 4th or 5th. I always describe my basketball game was Charles Barkley without the leaping ability. I was physical. I could go coast to coast. I could guard the big man. Because I caught a couple of Brad's sharp elbows. But that's all right. I'm going to put my elbow right back in his lower back. He's not going to be 7'1" by the end of the night. He's going to be a little shorter. So that was cool. You know, like I can't complain. Brad hits me with elbow, I'm gonna complain. Oh man, you caught me in the eye. I refuse to complain. No, it's just not one of my options.
you know, Keith, I'll tell you this. You know, people be making. I said this a couple days ago. I said, man, people always talk about, you know, football players and Myles Garrett. They're just like, oh, Myles Garrett, he can dunk, and I be telling them. I used to play high school. I played basketball at Camp McKinley, and I played football too. Now, here's the thing. I used to tell them, there's all kind of football players. You just don't know it. There's all kind of football players that get buckets every single day. I mean, when you talk about explosiveness, when you talk about guys that can jump, and the physicality helps you out a little bit too. Like sometimes you're a football player, you can muddy it up a little bit. I got to hold Brad, hold foul, hold ball, hold ball, hold ball, hold ball. Take that up the time.
You're right. But let me say this. One thing that Brad, you was asking me to talk about my high school. A player that I played against, you and Dennis played against him too at Ohio State, was from Iowa, Greg Stokes. Yeah. When Greg was a senior in high school, you know, we played them in the regional finals to see who goes to the state. You know, Greg gave us the business. He had a triple-double on us. He had 35 points, 25 rebounds, and 12 block shots. You know, but we won the game.
They won the game anyway.
We won the game.
Wow.
Yeah, we won the game. It was a heck of a game, a hard fought. But I was used to growing up against, you know, playing against top-tier talent. You know, in high school, in the pickup games in Dayton, you know, we had arguably, you know, the greatest high school player to ever play in Ohio, and you know that would be Dwight Anderson. God rest his soul. He died last year. You know, he went to University. Dwight Anderson was just a freak. You know, he went to Kentucky. His nickname was the Blur. One of the and he used to come from our high school, so he used to come back and give us the business, and you know that was good training. You know, for us as teenagers to play against talent like that.
Hey Hop, I got a question for you, and then I want Brad and KB to answer it as well. Was there ever a point in the game where you thought it was going to get real physical and maybe hands would be thrown?
At the beginning of the game, you knew it was physical. I mean, you're dealing with some big time players, and you know, it's one thing when it comes to being a football player. You know, they're coming with the ruggedness, the physicality, and actually, I think Brad may have told you guys about this before, but I mean, our coaches, they found out about it, and they were very, very super disappointed in us going out there competing in this game because we're trying to stay healthy, so we're able to give something to our basketball program, and that was a way for us to get hurt. So thank God nobody got hurt, but to answer that question, right at the very start, you already knew it was. I mean, you're looking at KB Pepper, you know, 6'4", 6'5", you know, 220, 25 pounds. So these guys were, they're coming with everything.
Brad?
So I would tell you, I don't remember it like that. I remember this. I remember trying to avoid being embarrassed, right, Keith? Because there was a big crowd there. We had a lot of girls there.
Yes, a lot of girls.
A lot of girls there. A lot of girls there. And then Keith, after I stood on that chair talking crazy, I was like, hold on. Because remember, I'm from Cleveland, they're from Dayton. Right? Like,
you thought you had the edge.
This cannot go down.
But it was never close to anybody.
No, because I tell you what, the group here, we're all friends.
Yeah.
I mean, we grew up at a great time. It wasn't nobody hating on one another. We all pulling for one another, right? We go to their football games on Saturday. They come to our game. They sitting in the first row. They be the first one to tell you when you messing up. Yeah, you messing up out here, right? But they tell you in a friendly game because they're your friends, right?
Yeah. Sure.
And so we're still friends to this day. But I would just tell you this: I learned one thing. They cheated me in Hop because they cheated us from this standpoint, not in the game.
Oh.
They could have pulled the Deion double play.
Yeah.
They could have been with us in the wintertime.
Yeah, really. Where were they? Where was that?
They could have been with us.
And not many of you guys could have been out there.
No, but I'm saying here,
That's
we
right.
would have had just the ones he talked about right there, right?
Yeah.
Or we could have run through the 10 because they were tough.
Yeah, I believe
they were tough.
Yeah.
By the way, couldn't Brad have played football? He could have been a specialist to block kicks and punts.
Nah, man, I'm holding the line
Blocking
side.
field goals.
Keep holding the line side, Keep. I'm just a third down side. That's all I'm doing.
Oh my God, you could have blocked some kicks.
He would have got some low kicks. You know, but you talk about us fighting or throwing hands. Until you just asked that question, that's the first time it ever entered my mind. Never once it was going to get to that point of being that physical where guys going to get upset and want to start throwing hands and fighting. because if you did fight, then what?
Right.
Well, you know we can see each other. You ain't going nowhere. You know what I'm saying? So what you gonna fight about?
Buckeye love.
You're gonna see my bro. Yeah, and then you're gonna be what? Give me the stink eye. We ain't got nothing to fight about. We having too good a time.
to
fight. We got we respect each other too much to fight.
I'm still shocked, KB. You remember the score? I remember the result. I remember the score.
Wait, he's got a tattoo. He didn't tell everybody. He's got a tattoo that says 50-44.
Right.
Yeah.
That's why he remembers the
the
score.
Chris Carter, don't forget. I told you when he did hold the sports commission dinner. Chris was like, I got you. That was 30-some odd years ago. You still on that?
McNuggets has a question for you guys. Go ahead, Mikey.
Yeah, Keith, this is mostly for you here. We had Leroy on earlier this week, and he told us about some of your guys' legendary golf games. Let's pull up the tag board here, Steve. We have a picture of you and Leroy on the golf course. What's the truth? Can Leroy actually play golf, or is it all talk, no swing?
No, Leroy's a golfer. He can play. We played 10 times. Leroy's gonna probably beat me 6 to 7 times. In a match of golf. But that picture right there, that was our annual Ohio State Michigan bet. And whoever won the game, you got to have that head cover in your bag for a year. And needless to say, he had to ride around with that Michigan bag with the house with Brutus Buckeye, in his golf bag. But we've been making them for so long, we don't even bet anymore. But as a quick side State Michigan deal, I was in Michigan at Grand Rapids about 3 weeks ago tournament, and I'm sitting there getting some breakfast, and you know that feeling you get when somebody shoots you. And you just happen to turn this look in that direction, and who it is? It was Jim Harbaugh.
Man.
He had this smile on his face, and I turned and looked, and he said, "Hi, Keith." I said, "Hey, Jim," and I finished getting my bacon and eggs and went over here and sat down. I'm like, geez. He just hates to lose to those guys.
I know, right?
And then he came over to my table for some small talk, and, I gave him a little small talk, being respectful, but I'm like, "Jim, you don't like me. I don't like you. Why are we doing this? Why?" But only because we lost the game. But if Ohio State would have won that game last year, I would have been the invisible man. Jim would have never looked in my direction.
Yeah,
but that's
right.
okay. And I was telling all those Michigan guys, November's coming. November is coming. They're like, "Well, Keith, just let us enjoy it now." I said, "I'm not peeing in your Cheerios. Enjoy it." But you remember this. Your guys changed your nickname. You're no longer the Michigan Wolverines. I call you the Michigan Cicadas. You show up about every 10, 12 years, make some noise, and you go away again. So I had a ball with those guys. That's what they're the Michigan Cicadas.
I love it. We need to get on that. Listen, Keith and Hop, thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks,
it's great
guys.
to see you guys and great to hear the old stories.
Hey, thank you for having me.
Thank you. We appreciate it.
50-44.
Yeah.
Good seeing you.
All right, Keith.
forget
You'll get the tattoo now, baby. Go ahead. It's all right.
50-44. It's a number he'll never forget. Now it's a number that Brad will never forget. It's great. It has to be really fun for you to see those guys and talk about all this.
Well, we bumping each other all the time. This is really the old school Ohio State guys. It's really a fraternity, right?
Yeah.
And we're going to be friends to the day we leave this earth.
Sure.
Right. And you can call and pick up the phone and anything. It's any charity event. They're like, where I got to be, who I got to be with.
Right.
And they're coming just on the strength of that friendship that was established in the mid '80s, right?
Yeah.
And so they're just two good guys. Hop is 15 years a collegiate coach now.
Wow.
So he's doing this thing, trying to break back into Division I. But the head coach at Lourdes University and the NAIA school in Toledo doing well. And it's just good to see them. And Keith has always been first class. Chris Carter's been first class. Pepper John first class. They're just first class people.
Yeah. Robert
Keith
Smith
Byars
joins
had
the
a
program
long-
next week.
Keith Byars had a long NFL career.
He did. He was very good.
He was
Very
the
good
10th
career.
overall pick in the '86 draft. He was the second running back taken that year. You know who the first was?
What draft was it?
'86.
86.
The first running back. He was 10th. He was the second running back. The first running back taken was taken first overall.
In 86.
Bo Jackson.
Bo Jackson.
Oh,
There you
wow.
go.
That's not bad.
I
company.
forgot Bo Jackson was the first overall pick in the
bad.
draft.
Bo was
That's
something.
crazy.
Bo was tremendous.
Yeah.
And so,
Absolutely.
they are, Hop's back in Toledo, his hometown, and Keith's back in Dayton, his hometown. And
Yeah.
they're doing good in the community, doing what they need to do to make the community better, and just great people. And it's here. the Buckeye tradition, we can pull out a bunch of people, right? A bunch of people, and so we want to make sure that we continue to do good in the community.
Absolutely, absolutely. All right, let's turn the page. Let's talk wide receivers. I mentioned the ESPN survey where they ranked the receivers. Stevie, if we can, let's take a look at that list. You mentioned, Bull, not only were there no Browns in the top 10, no Browns received votes for being in the top 10. Davante Adams, not a huge surprise, although some would say Cooper Kupp perhaps a little more productive in terms of his stats, but I think if you ask
based on last
backs,
year, Cooper Kupp had the best stats.
Yeah, he did. But I think if you ask defensive backs, like who they would least like to line up against for an entire game, God, I would have to think it would be Davante Adams. But Jamar Chase at 3 was a bit of a surprise to me because he's just played 1 year.
It
but
is. He was fantastic as a rookie. So was Justin Jefferson the year before as a rookie. And can you imagine those two guys played together in college?
At the same team with Joe Burrow as their quarterback.
I was just sitting there thinking about that. That was ridiculous.
I mean, that's absurd.
Yeah. I mean, we talk about Odell and Jarvis playing at LSU at the same time. But these guys brought home the hardware.
They had Edwards-Helaire, too. Yeah. He was a first-round pick.
If you were drafting from scratch, Chase and Jefferson would go 1-2 at receiver because those other two guys are a little older.
Yeah. So in terms of young, productive, with all kinds of upside.
Right.
McNuggets,
I hate to cut into this, but DeQuell is on. He's ready, and he has a message for Brad that he says can't wait.
Well, bring
back the Gridiron Guys hotline. DeQuell?
There you go.
Here we go. Listen up.
I had to do it, Brad. I'm sorry.
Don't let me come to the DMV, baby. I will back to the DMV. Yes, I will.
Wait, Brad, I didn't realize. I realized you guys played against each other, but I didn't realize you stood on the table and challenged these guys like that. So I had to represent.
DeQuell, let me set the stage for you, DeQuell. Let me set the stage for you, right? So we're in the, this is before Ohio State out of season have training camp. You had to go to the regular cafeteria with everybody else, right? So we all met up at the same time. We were all basically on the same schedule. And so in there, you get all the athletes, you get all the girls. The athletes, the girls. So we got a big crowd here, right? So I'm just, I'm feeling it that day. It's all like, I'm going to gas this up right here, right? So because there's no way, DeQuell, I thought I was going to be losing to Keith Byars or Chris Carter or anybody like Pepper John. I was like, I'm going to run circles around. You're too stiff. I'm thinking they're too stiff, right? And they're like, okay. So I got up on the chair and I just started going like I was holding court. And I was holding court. I had gassed up everybody. They were all at 7 o'clock that night. It was a line.
Well, how did you start it? Just calling them out by saying, we want to challenge you?
We were talking about, sports. And then they start talking about, what they could do. They were better. They were athletes. I'm like, you ain't no athlete. You're a football player. You can't do what I do. They're like, I can't do what you do.
Can't do that.
Oh, yeah, that's the problem, DeQuell. I told them you couldn't do what I could do, right? Mm-hmm. Well, it's the other way around. I couldn't do what they could do. They could do what I could do.
That was a great story, man.
This is what I always say.
Absolutely
This is before the internet, right? So I did not know that they could do what I could do, right? So I was a Cleveland guy. So if you didn't come from Cleveland, I didn't think you were worth nothing.
See, you learned the lesson that day.
See, DeQuell, man, you know good and well. You be on campus. You know you get in the cafeteria.
You know what it is.
You be really amping it up. It's an all-girls dorm, like right there. And you like, yo, I could do anything. You Superman. You about 19, 20 years old. And then, it wasn't going to work for him
and
that
then,
day.
DeQuell, you know this, too. You had the girls that followed the basketball guys.
Yep.
Yes.
And then the girls that followed the football guys.
Yep. It was two different.
Hey, Brad,
said, let me come over and get some of your girls. Y'all come over to this camp over here.
Hey,
Brad, something similar happened to me. Similar situation happened to us. The football guys and the basketball guys were in cafeteria late night, we called it. And, same type of deal happened. Guys start talking. You had your basketball girls that followed the basketball team. Same football kind of girls that followed the football team. And lo and behold, we took the court maybe like a week or so later. And when I tell you they whooped our ASS, my Lord, we started bodying them, and then all of a sudden they started running plays. And when they started doing that, it was over. Oh, man. It was over. We had no shot.
Hey, DeQuell, who was at Maryland at the time? I mean, you played for Maryland. That's ACC Maryland.
Yeah,
who was playing on?
a guy named John Gilchrist. It was all
Gilchrist.
McDonald's All-American. John Gilchrist, Chris McCray. They didn't win a ton, but they had all McDonald's All-Americans. I didn't realize that until after the fact.
Right.
I body some of these guys, but now they could jump higher than us. When they started running plays, it was over. Setting elite teams and all. So that's when the game got out of reach for us. We were only layup guys. We couldn't shoot the tray ball. Nothing. But it was fun, though. It was fun. So, Brad, I see why those guys never let you live that down. First of all, you're 7 feet standing on the chair. Oh, no. We got something to prove.
There was no way anyone could ignore Brad standing on a chair. Hey, DeQuell, the Buckeye coaches were less than thrilled when they found out about the game. Did the Maryland coaches ever find out about this rumble?
You know what? That's a great question. I don't know if they did because, lo and behold, no one got injured. Now, if someone would have got injured, that would have been a different story. But everyone walked away clean slate. But it was bragging rights. When I see these guys to this day, I saw John Gilchrist maybe two and a half weeks ago. Guess what he brought up? The time that we called him out on the basketball court. So I get it. So that's something I got to look forward to for the rest of my damn life.
Well, DeQuell, I'm getting it over here. But I would just tell you, and DeQuell knows this was just mano. That's all it was, right? Because if you thought about the totality of how much could go wrong here, right? How much money was on that floor, right? Potential money was on that floor.
Was that your last year?
That was my last year.
So you're awaiting the draft?
Yes.
Like weeks before the draft.
Oh, that's devastating.
Wow. That's amazing. That's amazing.
That's how stupid we were.
Brad Sellers will not be participating in this year's draft because he tore his ACL in a game against the Ohio State football players.
Look at KB too, because we left the same year. Keith was.
We would have been on this show if it was all those years ago saying, what the hell was Brad Sellers thinking?
Pepper Johnson too, and then the next year was Hop and Chris Carter. So I mean, that's how just dumb this was, right?
That's a lot of money.
All first round. Everybody first round draft picks. Playing in a pickup game.
A lot of money on the court.
Comes down to that, though, sometimes.
So, Brad, there was an audience as well? There was girls on the side?
DeQuell, I'm the hype master here. I'm going to hype this thing, right?
Okay, you were that guy.
It's free admission here. Come get this. Come get these tickets. There's no tickets. It's free admission.
Standing room only.
Standing room only in this place, right?
Backfired.
Boy, what I wouldn't give
I was going to clean house.
I'd have watched that.
You know what I was playing for? I'm going to get all this over here.
I
said, y'all come over here with us.
The sad part of it is, DeQuell, you know this, if that same game was to take place today, and I'm not talking about those guys, I'm talking about current Ohio State football players against current Ohio State basketball players, we can make buckets of cash on a pay-per-view basis.
Yeah.
Can you imagine?
All over the internet.
Oh,
be all over the
God, it'd be nuts.
Live.
Man,
it would be nuts.
I would sign up for that. I would watch that. That could
I
actually
would
be something down the road.
Can you hold that sign up one more time? I don't think we've seen that.
I was going to. I couldn't
That was the best cheer turnaround we've had here.
Keep this up here.
Yeah, keep that up there. Keep that right there.
So the coach texts me and goes, hey, I'm ready. I said, all right, we'll get you on in 1 sec. We're going to do this topic. He goes, no, I need to get on right now. I got a sign. I didn't know what the sign said. It was better than I anticipated. Well, bravo, sir.
Great
bravo.
Great call.
So just like with Gilchrist, Keith Byars, they don't forget. They never forget.
No.
I'm shocked to even remember the score. I knew it was close.
Think how many games he's played, meaningful games he's played since that.
Was it full court?
Yeah,
full court or half?
Full court.
Oh my goodness.
Oh yeah, this is a real game.
God.
This is a real game.
Did you guys like Maryland? Did you guys start calling plays and running plays?
Well, here I think at the end, I didn't have all the weapons. I had my other teammates, but really, me and Hop were really was going at it because Hop backing me up because I'm his roommate. I'm the one doing the talking, right?
What were your teammates doing?
They were there.
Yeah, but they weren't touching the ball much.
You need to have them on to tell that side of the story.
As it was going down bad, I said, give me that ball. I said, you back up. Give me the ball because it's going bad here.
Well, DeQuell, as long as you're on, we'll start with getting your reaction to this ESPN survey that doesn't have a Cleveland Browns wide receiver in the top 10. Is that egregious to you, or is that about what you expected?
Yeah, that's probably along the line of what I expect. I think Amari Cooper has to prove himself again this year, and he's got to prove that he's a top 10 guy. Do I think you can win with a guy outside of the top 10 according to this list from the receiver standpoint? Yes, I think Amari Cooper is a great example of that. But I mean, it's hard to substitute any one of these names off of this list to interject Amari Cooper. But I do think, listen, he had a solid year last year. Hopefully we want him to build on that, but I'm not surprised at all by none of our receivers being on this list.
Are any of you guys shocked by that?
No, he doesn't belong on
I think that's a fair list, to be honest.
I've always felt like Amari Cooper, I don't know what you think, DeQuell, but my thoughts always on Amari Cooper have been, like, the guy's really good, but I always felt like the production has not quite lived up to the skill. Because I feel like skill-wise, he's as good as any wide receiver, and you can't say he's been with bad quarterbacks because he played with Derek Carr and he's played with Dak Prescott. I mean, those are two good. They're not, top 5 quarterbacks, but they're really good NFL quarterbacks. So you can't even. It's not like a situation where it was like you.
I hate to bring this.
Yeah, go ahead. Well, you go.
Sorry about that.
No, it's okay.
I hate to bring this word back into play because we had such a long discussion about it. But elite, right? I wouldn't put him. I wouldn't say he's an elite talent.
Right.
He's a difference maker. But he is a guy that you can win with that's above average than most other guys that you win with. And he's definitely a guy that you can add another piece to. He's not just a sole, just difference maker like Calvin Johnson. Johnson, you would say he is elite. He's a difference maker. He can win with just guys opposite of him. But Amari Cooper needs a 1 and 2 punch and other assets around him in order for him to take advantage of his skill set, in my opinion.
DeQuell, is that what's holding him back? Because, he came out of Alabama as the next slice of bread that was supposed to be that thing, right? And so everywhere he's gone, it seems that ultimately he turns the people off where he is, right? The Raiders move off of him. The Cowboys had high hopes for him, and then the Cowboys moved off of him because it's like he teases you with something and then does not deliver, right?
Right.
So what is the thing that's holding him back?
Yeah, I don't know him personally, but I can understand how a lot of receivers in this league, the Odell Beckhams of the world, some of these guys on this list, they're polarizing, figures. And I think that may work against him because he's a quiet kind of, and I'm assuming, I don't know him, I'm assuming he's more of a quiet, more reserved type of guy. And sometimes those guys gets overlooked. And at a premium position like his, he has every right to stand on the table like you did back in the day and say, give me the football. But, he's not that guy. He's not that guy. And I think sometimes it works to his disadvantage as opposed to his advantage. But I do think he's a solid – there's 31 other teams that would love to have Amari Cooper on their team. So, again, he's no slappy. I think he's a guy that's, like I said, he's well above average, but he's not that difference maker that can just take over a game.
I think Amari Cooper has DeQuell, and we'll start by saying this. I think Amari Cooper hasn't been spoon-fed yet. Like, when you look at Devontae Adams, you look at the quarterbacks, right? Devontae Adams, they don't care if he getting the ball. I'm throwing it to Devontae Adams again and again and again. Stephon Diggs, Josh Allen. These guys are getting spoon-fed. Sometimes I think it takes that relationship with the quarterback to say.
But didn't Derek Carr do that with Cooper early?
He did have a lot of numbers early on with Carr.
Well, see, when you want to get to that elite status, though, it's a different type of spoon-fed. DeAndre Hopkins, we throwing you the ball. How many times have we seen the Browns play a team, right? And they just keep getting the ball. You're like, dang. This guy's just like he keep killing us. And when the Browns play, we don't spot shadow nobody. It's let's move all around and let's just dink and dunk and get the fullbacks involved. No, these top receivers play for coaches that are like, look, I got to get that guy the ball.
The only time we've seen it here was that 1 year with Josh Gordon.
1 year with Josh Gordon.
That was it.
So my thing is I think the receiver. It's not that the receiver Amari Cooper isn't a good talent. I just think that it takes a quarterback with a certain mindset to say, that's my guy. He about to get the ball 100 times.
Well, we didn't have that.
Yeah,
right.
We
just didn't have that.
We had
right. But then the other thing you think about this list, and Beckham gets votes.
Yeah.
Amari Cooper gets no votes. Right.
Yeah. Beckham's been overall a better player, but he hasn't put up big numbers the last few years.
I think for Beckham, when he went to the Rams and had a career resurgence and was catching the ball again on a regular basis, and then early in the Super Bowl has a touchdown before the injury, I think everybody kind of gave him a pass for his time in Cleveland and said Baker just wasn't that guy to get him the ball. Yeah, but he goes to a good quarterback, and he is not a central piece to their game plan, but I think playing second fiddle to Cooper Kupp in that offense was the perfect scenario for Odell Beckham.
Yeah, but no matter what side you are, I don't know, in my opinion, I don't know about you, DeQuell, but no matter what side you are and how much you want to blame Baker or the Browns for Odell Beckham's struggles, to me, there's no way he's a top 10 receiver. Not at this point. He's not better than any of the guys on that list.
Especially coming off another ACL.
Yeah.
No. I would say that. But I will say this, though. The reason why it was so infuriating with Odell Beckham Jr. is because after that, when he got back to playing, you saw some of the things that made him devastating. You saw some of the things that made him electric. And it was so tantalizing. We like, hey, just don't get him the ball, man. Just throw it over there. Just give him that. And when you don't, and every receiver, and by the way, every receiver that's on that list, you're supposed to think you good.
I gotta ask.
You're supposed to.
I gotta ask DeQuell a question because you just brought up a point. Hear me out on this, DeQuell. Now, as a fan, I'm sitting here. I know Beckham when he comes to town. I said I know what he can do. Right? Tell me, why could he not find Beckham? How can you not find him? It's like me not being able to find Jordan. Right? Where's Pippen at? I can't find him, right? You mean, what do you mean I can't find him? I can put the ball in the air. I never could understand the disconnect, why he could not find a top-tier talent. You can't tell me why you can't get him the ball.
Yeah, I think the style of play just didn't fit what he did best. We had, two great running backs, so you have to do what's best to take the pressure off your quarterback first and foremost in order for them to be productive. And he just didn't, with Jarvis Landry and Odell Beckham, that roster, in my opinion, it was a championship, high-level, Super Bowl caliber ready team, ready to win. And for whatever reason, Baker Mayfield, say what you want about him, it didn't mesh between the quarterback and the system. Odell Beckham was frustrated as all get out, and we saw the impact, like G said, the impact that he made when he went over to Los Angeles to the Rams and in the Super Bowl. If he doesn't get injured, he's probably the MVP of that game. So I just think a lot of different factors played into it. It just wasn't the right scheme for him. And to go back to the point, G, that you made about Amari Cooper, him not being force-fed, hey, listen, you've been in this league long enough. The Josh Gordons of the world, when he was in Cleveland, he was open when he wasn't open. Yeah. So he was the guy. So I think Amari Cooper just isn't that guy. We want him to be that guy, but he's just not. He's just a tier down from that level. And listen, do I think things could change? Absolutely. If he's force-fed, like Calvin Johnson was force-fed back in the day in Detroit, and some of these other guys around, Devontae Adams and that previously was in Green Bay, I think we see a different side of Amari Cooper. But if we hadn't seen it thus far in his career,
not gonna see it.
I don't think we're going to see it.
Yeah, if you're open, quarterbacks are going to find you, and they're going to throw the ball to you, and you're going to catch it. I don't know, Brad, if this makes sense to you, but you asked why it didn't work in Cleveland, and I'll throw my theory out in DeQuell. I'd love to get your response to it. Odell Beckham wasn't your prototypical route runner in terms of him being on spot X where he's supposed to be. Odell seemed to be more of a freelance guy. If he thought the space he was running to was going to be occupied, he had no problems breaking off his route and running something else. When you're dealing with a shorter quarterback who's 6 foot tall looking over a bunch of 6'5" guys in front of him, it's a lot harder for him to be able to respond to and see the receivers that are freelancing and not going to a spot. Does that make any sense?
That makes complete sense. And I think one other thing I'll add to that is Odell Beckham, what makes him Odell Beckham is the one-handed, crazy kind of catches that we don't expect receivers to make. And that was his calling card. That's what made him a difference maker. He was, when he was covered, he could make the one-handed catches. You would see him in warm-ups and all that good stuff. But that's where he thrived the best. And you're right, Baker Mayfield being a shorter quarterback, not as accurate, having problems throwing the ball from a conventional pocket like the premium quarterbacks, operate nowadays in today's football. I think he struggled. I think you can go down the list of some of the things. And plus, I don't think he ever really – he embraced Cleveland, but I don't think he really truly knew what he was getting into. Listen, you have to share the ball with Jarvis Landry. You got a tight end that's up and coming. You have your running style offense. So I think all those things absolutely make sense of why he didn't have the production that we had hoped he would have while he was here.
DeQuell, who cares about Odell? Who cares about Jarvis? Who cares about Baker? They are old news. Let's talk about the new news. We've spent so much time talking about when's Watson, when are we going to find out about Watson? How many games is he going to miss? I'm so sick of that at this point. We'll find out when we find out. Eventually, he's going to be on that field. Eventually, right? And I was thinking about this morning. The roof for the upside of this offense, to me, there is no roof, because Deshaun Watson played in Houston. Okay, his running backs in Houston were Lamar Miller, an older Carlos Hyde, an older what's his name, David Johnson. Duke Johnson. Like, he never played with Nick Chubb. And David Johnson was a great back when he was younger, but not when he was in Houston. He was past his prime. Like, Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt, 2 of the 10 best backs in the league. He had a terrible offensive line. He's been sacked about 3.25 times per start in his career. I mean, that's an absurd number, including in 2019, I think, when he took the team to the playoffs and led the league in being sacked. He's a great runner. He's a great athlete. I'm rambling on here, but the point is, with the talent he has around him, I mean, he had DeAndre Hopkins for 3 years. Obviously, he's better than anything the Browns have. But outside of that, he had nothing. No offensive line, no running game, no other really good receivers. He's got so much talent around him. Once he's on the field, there's no reason this can't be a top 5 offense, I think. I mean, I think there's no limit to how good it can be. What do you think?
Yeah, I completely agree with you, Boog, and I think that's what's probably. And I'm gonna mention his name one more time before I answer your question. I think that was the knock on Baker, because he had so much around him. Right. It's like, why can't you operate this offense? Why can't this offense be more productive? Now you interject a guy that's going to be playing for his legacy, his livelihood, his reputation, all these different things on top of him already solidifying and showing the entire league that he could play at a high level. Again, he had a great year when they were 4-12, and we can debate that if you want. I know, Jay, you're really big on that. But again, I agree with you, Bull. You interject him into a team that has a great roster, has a two-headed monster that all plays pocket within the pocket from the conventional style. He can run. He's very. He's well equipped to run the RPO game. He can do everything. There isn't many limitations he can't do. And when you add a team around him, it just, just increases the chances of this team being a perennial winner and potentially playing for a Super Bowl. Because in the end, I know we had this discussion last week, I believe. Yeah. In the end, this is what he was brought here for, to win a ton of games and ultimately win a Super Bowl, multiple Super Bowls. So I 1,000% agree with you on that. I
think about, like, defending the Ravens, right? Like 2 years ago when they had backs. Right, they had J.K. Dobbins that second year. He was just starting to come into his own. And I know Lamar is a better runner than Deshaun Watson. I get that. But Deshaun Watson, as an overall quarterback, I think is a far superior player to Lamar, at least in my opinion. And then to have, like, I'm just thinking, you talk about RPOs. If you're playing linebacker or you're playing defensive line, and you've got Deshaun Watson and these guys in the backfield, you must be losing your mind.
Yeah, I would hate to defend. First of all, just defending and preparing for Deshaun Watson is a feat in itself. And then you add Kareem Hunt and Nick Chubb, and you add some things. I mean, if you're a signal caller, if you're Kevin Stefanski, if we're going to see just how good of a play caller he actually is. No doubt. Because there should be no reason this team cannot average at least 25 to 30 points a game and expect not to. It has to happen. Again, it's going to take some time as he gets back into the fold of things, because he hasn't played in forever. But when he is back and he's get used to the roster, the play calling, things of that nature, this will be a nightmare to try to defend this team because of some of the things you laid out. His running ability, his throwing ability, and the RPO game. That should be an easy. Gotta have it play third and medium. What are you going to do? You got to defend the legs of Deshaun Watson and his football IQ of placing the ball where it needs to be down the field. So this team could be very dangerous, but Kevin Stefanski has a lot on his plate because this is what every coordinator wants. They want these type of problems, to have an abundance of talent from the offensive standpoint. And if he doesn't get it done, then I can see this narrative changing very quick about, is he the right man for the job? we should go there just yet.
I was just about to ask you. I'm kind of, I'm trying to get this good question in, but I'm blinded by that 50-44 sign behind it.
Okay. His hat is run. But I'm gonna keep it next to you. Okay?
Sign it and send it to Brad so he can keep it in his office.
DeQuell's coming into studio in a couple of weeks. DeQuell, you better bring that with you.
So my question, I'm glad you brought that thing up about Stefanski because, DeQuell, you know this game. How much time we giving Stefanski here? Right, because we don't know we're gonna have Watson in the beginning or not. How much time we give him?
Yeah, the honeymoon's over.
I mean, because he still has enough weapons that we should be dangerous, right? So you can't say we're going down the tank because Watson not here, right? So how much rope does Stefanski have here?
Yeah, well, we know how this game plays out. When you have a great roster and you have a great coach and the quarterback doesn't work out, the quarterback is the first to go. Well, in this case, the quarterback didn't show enough flashes that he wasn't part of the solution, right? So this is the trickle-down effect. The quarterback goes now. The next set of eyes are going to be pointed at Kevin Stefanski, and I'm pretty sure he understands the level of talent that he has. And if he doesn't get it done, absolutely, he deserves all the criticism. If this talented team that's only going to get older, that we've seen, 2 years ago, you brought in some guys that are no longer here from the receiving standpoint, and we couldn't get it done. So now Baker took the brunt of that. Now it's going to be on Kevin Stefanski, right? And even without Deshaun Watson, however long that's going to be, we're going to see him. We're going to, in my opinion, we're going to actually be able to see just how, dynamic his football team can be because he decided to go with. I'm assuming Jacoby Brissett will win this quarterback battle. And he's, in my opinion, is a more conventional style quarterback. And I think maybe that was a bag that Kevin Stefanski held that necessarily wasn't going to be utilized, properly with Baker. Maybe we see a different version, different play calling, a different on offense. So I think everyone around the Cleveland community, everyone that's followed this team is waiting to see what this offense will look like because whatever it is, the start of the season is going to be a lot differently when Deshaun Watson shows up, in my opinion.
Sure. Actually, to be truthful, DeQuell, I think Deshaun Watson makes Kevin Stefanski's job harder. And I'll say, and the reason I think his job is more difficult with Deshaun Watson is twofold. First of all, sometimes when you have less talent, you can play a certain way, right? When you have less talent and a quarterback can only do play action or you're going to run some boots or different things like that, the problem is you could put those guys in that position and you could say, there you go. We only going to run one or two things and we ain't got to worry about it. But when you got a guy that can do multiple things, when you got guys that can do throw the ball, run the ball, RPO, we talked about, y'all guys mentioned 7-8 different things that Kevin Stefanski has to think about. And this is the biggest one right here is Deshaun Watson comes in. Now watch this. If he throws for 250, 260, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception, ain't nobody going to want that. The people who are head over heels for Deshaun Watson, they thinking 303 touchdowns. But the people that wanted that was in the Baker camp, they're gonna say, well,
the bros.
Baker gave you that.
Baker gave you 225 and wasn't throwing picks. So we wasted 3 draft picks.
I'm expecting over 5,000 yards if he plays the full season.
See what I'm saying? And so now
that's what elite quarterbacks do.
Yeah. Now Stefanski is between a rock and a hard place. Am I gonna air this thing out?
But G. Bush, I think the point you're making is he's under more pressure.
More pressure.
No doubt. I don't think it makes his job harder. Look at the options he has.
Definitely a lot more pressure.
He's got a full menu to choose from.
Listen, watch this. I'm gonna give you this here. I love Gordon Ramsay. Love him to death. I love John Taffer. Any top chef will tell you this. They go into a restaurant, they say, let me see your menu. Oh, you got Mexican, you got Italian, you trying to do steaks, what are you doing here? People get confused by your menu. You got to pare down that menu. Give me 1 starter, a couple entrees, and 1 dessert, and a special.
And be great at it.
And be great at that. Well, when you get Deshaun Watson, he's going to have to figure out what type of menu the Cleveland Browns are going to serve.
G-Bush, that's because he's got great ingredients.
Yep.
Like, if you've got great ingredients to make all those dishes, make them. And it's up to the chef to make them great. And in this case, it's up to the coach to make them great.
Sometimes you can have too many
dishes, too many ingredients. You got too many options.
Not if you're a good coach. There's never too many ingredients.
I agree with you.
Go ahead.
I think this is why. I mean, your analogies are off the charts. I love when you go down that route. I love
especially the chef's analogy.
That's a good one.
Yeah, that was spot on. I love food. You got me from the very moment you said Gordon Ramsay. I was hooked. But I would say this is going to really play a big part in whenever we realize when the suspension happens. Because to your point, if the suspension happens and he can't show up to training camp, and then let's say hypothetically speaking, he gets a 6 to 8 game suspension and he comes in, what are your offenses supposed to look like? So to your point, yeah, I get it. You want to figure out, this is why training camp is going to be so important. And I guess the work they've done in the summer with OTAs and mandatory minicamp and some of those other things, it's going to be very important to see what sticks, what works best, and move and build off of that. Because, in the first 4 weeks, you look at the Browns schedule, I think we can go undefeated. I really believe that. And I think that's the time where you start to figure out what your team will look like, what you do best, what you don't do so well. I think that's all going to play a part, and we all have to be realistic from a standpoint of whenever Deshaun Watson comes back, we can't – I know it's going to be hard for us to fight that urge. We want him to throw for 300 yards and 4 touchdowns and be elusive and all these different things, but the reality of it is he's not going to be at that elite level if he hasn't played football and God knows how long. So – we have to be able to temper that whenever he comes back, but I know it's going to be extremely hard to do so.
We talked yesterday, DeQuell. If he is suspended for the first 8 and we don't see him until November, it's 23 months between starts. You're talking about almost two full years.
January 2nd of 21 was his last start.
So, and if he doesn't start until November, do the math. It's almost 2 full years.
Yeah, and that's the hardest position on the field is, you have to build a rapport with your receivers and all these different things, and the offensive line and people in the huddle needs to hear your cadence, and it's a lot that he has to overcome for us to expect him to jump in and be the Watson that he was when he was with Houston.
Question real quick. If you're suspended in football, can he come? Because in the NBA, when you're suspended, you can't come around the team. You can't come around the practice facility.
He can't be.
So is that the same in football?
No. Yes, you can't.
So what does he do? Where does he go?
Right. That's the $1 million. I'm sure he probably has some things in place now, or whatever he was doing before when he was out. I'm sure he wasn't just sitting on the couch. He had a routine. He was going through the routine of him being on schedule, in season, get with quarterback coach. I mean, you have it's all a mental game at that point. And
can he even interact with the coaches?
No.
To my knowledge, no. You can't interact with the coaches, to my knowledge. But I could be wrong. That's going to be tough.
Mikey wants to talk about uniforms, DeQuell. Yes. White helmets. Take it away, McNuggets.
Well, let me set it up, Bull. I got lots of tag boards for you guys. And this comes to us by what the internet is saying, and that's always a PCC Airfoil special. Looking for a job with career advancement and great benefits? PCC Airfoils is a leading manufacturer in Northeast Ohio. All locations of PCC Airfoils in Eastlake, Mentor, Wickliffe, and Minerva are hiring for positions starting at $18 and up. Plus, get full benefit packages, paid time off, and a signing bonus. Apply online at precast.com/careers to learn more. Now,
PCC.
I waited for Bull. I got you, Bull.
Slogans.
Now, here's what you got to know. The NFL is now allowing teams to have alternate helmets for the first time, which is very important because yesterday the Bengals, punch it, Steve, announced they're going to wear their white Bengal helmets. Very fresh look. Very, very cool. Got a lot of rave on the internet. Let's punch the next one here, Anthony. That's a close-up of the helmet. So with the help of some very creative Photoshop people, including Move For You Cleveland and Alec Tartar Design, let's take the next one. We have some mock-up Browns white uniforms and white helmet concepts. So this is the first one. Take a second to look.
I like that one.
Yeah.
Okay. Next one, Anthony.
I like that one.
I like that.
This is the brown jersey with the white helmet.
I still like them.
It's like an Auburn helmet.
Yeah.
And one more.
Still like them.
This is a full jersey concept for Ben Axelrod upstairs.
Ben.
Shout out, Ben. DeQuell, you are a Brown. There's a brown helmet behind you. Do you like the idea of a possible white alternate, or is it too much? Does it not fit the Browns' motto, logo? What's your take?
Yeah, I love the idea of an all-white alternate helmet. It gives a different look. You know, I love that. I love the different variations of the uniform. I mean, a lot of teams are doing it. That Bengals helmet, by the way, was tough. Oh my goodness! And it just works. It just all blends with the all-white helmet and the orange stripe and the brown stripe going through the middle of the helmet. I really like that. I would love to wear that.
Hey,
my favorite uniform actually was the all-brown uniform. I love that. But minus the orange with the white numbers, not the orange numbers back in the day. But yeah, I like this idea.
Man, you know, DeQuell, man, we got to talk to these folks up in here, man. You know, people in this state are so damn conservative.
Oh, so
I want my old Brown.
Hey,
listen, get up out of here.
Can I cut you off for 1 second? So when we were wearing the all brown uniforms way back when, I think whenever I can't remember which year. There was a lot of flack. It probably lasted. We heard about it for about 3 or 4 weeks from a player standpoint. Hey, we wanted to wear these uniforms, but we took a bunch of flack from the community. They did not want to change the original look of the Browns. I'm like, what? Why? Let's change it up.
Yeah,
why not?
The original look sucks, let's be honest.
I mean, you got to pull off orange and brown, which is difficult to start with.
Right.
And then you won't give me no gray, you won't give me no neutral. And then people talk, well, it's all about, it's all about winning on the field. Just give me 10 wins and I'll wear any jersey. Listen, man, you could walk and chew gum at the same time. Stop telling me to concentrate on one thing. It's a jersey, and you don't create them. There's a marketing team. You need to stop wearing them dad jeans and them big bell-bottom bottoms, running around with gray T-shirts on and a snapback hat, running around talking about I'm getting ready to go to Denny's with my wife. Chalk it up.
Where are they going with the wife?
Denny's.
My boy has gone off here, but I was just saying this here.
I went off so much to Quill Froze.
Right.
Dad jeans is my favorite.
G. Bush, that analogy was so good. You
Are these
froze
dad
DeQuell
jeans?
Jackson.
G, am I wearing dad jeans?
Yes, those are quite dad. We're going to get you together. We can get you Jordans, though, too.
I'm wearing dad jeans.
G. Bush, you kill me, bro.
You literally froze DeQuell. He froze up on that.
Because it was so ice cold.
The Bengals look fly.
Fire.
You know what? I'd like to see a Steelers mock-up with a white helmet.
They had drip.
Steelers had a yellow helmet already.
I didn't like that.
I'm gonna tell you this. That's drip right there. You gotta have it, right? The fit is outstanding.
It is really nice. I hate to admit it.
But you have to know your markets here, right? So this is like Celtic town. This is like Yankee town. It stays conservative to this thing here, but I'm not opposed to going to a third alternative jersey. But you know, if I was gonna do that, let this community create it. Do a contest.
They'll pick the same uniform.
No, they won't.
You know what? I think Bull's right. You know what I think it is, really? It's the uniform most associated with the glory year.
Right.
That's when they came out with I call them the Sipes, the orange pants and the brown.
Yeah.
I automatically think of the 79 team with Brian and Greg Pruitt and Mike Pruitt and Ozzie Newsome, and we were winning then. So there's automatically a connection that's made between that uniform and victories.
No, so
I would like to see. I would like to see some new colors.
This is what I agree.
Now, new colors would be a hard sell.
So when I
G. Bush, am I lying?
When you go the third, and just follow the European Soccer League when they've gone to the alternative jersey.
Right.
The third jersey has to be different than the consistency that you have shown before. It has to be fresh. It has to be fly. Look when Oregon freaked out the neon green, right?
They change uniforms every game.
Like, we're freaking you out here, but even
and I'll go to your Buckeyes to this credit. Ohio State.
We do it sometimes.
They were the tradition of the tradition. You know what? They got on board and said, you know what? We're going to pay homage to the old throwbacks, but we're going to throw our flair.
I think Terrell Pryor's years, they started doing that, didn't they?
New helmets, the reds, and
the blacks.
Awesome.
So the Buckeye, when they go to the alternative jersey, like they've got the all red helmet. I've got that in my own basement, right? It is
nice.
That's the only one I will keep there because I like, and with the little Buckeye leaves on it, it's freaked out. You can't find it anywhere, right?
Yeah.
And so I think there's a market, not only a market. Hell, be honest, we got to sell some stuff here.
Well, that's what it's about. Oh, absolutely.
100%.
When there was a marketing study that was done with uniforms, black was the color that fans preferred most.
Yeah.
So if there were teams that did not have black in their scheme, they put it in there specifically so they could sell black shirts and hats.
Non-Browns fans are not buying Browns gear because it's not, I don't care about this type of stuff, but it's not cool.
Well, if
people don't love it.
I don't know if it's Jarvis Landry or Odell Beckham. When Odell came here, his jersey sales went through the roof.
And here's this,
because it was a new
true.
look for that player.
And even talk about this. This just goes to show you the temperament of this climate and where we at. Odell Beckham was wearing different cleats. And people made that a talking point. They went on radio and was like, he has those clown shoes on, and Jarvis has, look at his cleats and that visor. And you're like, bro, I'm sorry, man. If you gonna market, always you got to be fashion forward.
Yeah.
Market to the people who you want.
There
the
is
young
the uniform
kids.
Police, though.
Yes.
And I think what people were
that
talking
was a big
about.
Story.
Yeah, but it wasn't that they were different. It was that he was getting singled out and becoming a story because he was violating what the uniform police.
It was an unnecessary distraction.
It was.
People
It
getting
became
worked
one.
up about those things individually.
But G. Bush, I think fans love that. When baseball finally said players can wear, and football too, you can wear these cleats that have for a cause. That's
the
a
baseball
talking
jerseys
point.
with the nicknames, people
Absolutely.
like that.
People love it.
I will say this though, hear me now. When the Browns end up going to the Super Bowl, I will be in brown and orange. That's where I'm going. I'm not going in third color. Brown and orange.
What do you want, G? What color? Would you like the Browns uniform? If you could design new Browns uniforms, what would you do?
I like Brad's hypothetical. When they play in the Super Bowl, what do you want to see them wear?
Brown and orange.
Okay.
But here's the two things that listen to me, marketing team. Here's two things that you can do to make your brand blow up and work with something. I know you like the blank helmet, right? But the elf is not utilized. Get the elf together, put the elf in the middle of the field, and give me the elf on a helmet at some point in time. If you want to do alternates, too.
He's giving you a scary look right now.
I don't want no elf on my helmet. I just don't.
By the way, it's the top.
Because I ain't scared of no elf.
It's the top selling. It's the top selling logo of all Browns merchandise.
What's the only logo they have?
And it looks.
So it has to be the top selling.
Gunmetal gray. Put gray on your uniform. You can't get black off because that's the Cincinnati Bengals and you already lost Paul Brown. You can make up for that by having a third alternate and having it be gunmetal titanium gray. You can mix that in.
Is that a Sherwin-Williams color?
You know what they should do too?
Yeah,
you know what I like?
Specific.
Do you have the swatch?
Listen, see, this is gunmetal gray. You see that?
You know what they should do for the helmets? Get that matte, like the Vikings have.
I love those.
I love those. They look so cool.
Or if you want to come with the chrome helmets, give me matte or chrome. You know what you do? If you don't want to change the uniform, just tell them, let's chrome out the orange.
You go chrome here, they're going to freak out. Son.
Yeah, that's a little drab. I think that might be a little drab.
We got DeQuell back. He finally defrosted from that icy tape.
Right, icy tape, right? There you go. So you got the floor, dog.
See what happens when you go 50 to 44 on signs? See what happens to you?
That was karma. That was karma.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Please bring that sign when you come to town, DeQuell.
Oh, I may put it on a shirt.
We need to get Chris Carter and Keith Byars and all the boys to sign that card.
Yeah,
and then you can frame it and hang it in your office.
Like right here.
That would be amazing. Let me ask you this. Hey, Brad, can you guys still hoop? Do you guys still hoop at all? Or is it just
we don't do nothing. No, we just talking a game now. We ain't doing that. We ain't doing that. Look, I like my body parts to work. I got to go to work in the morning.
Although we are going to have a football versus basketball clash when you and McNuggets hit the court.
I'm ready.
Yeah, we can't do it because the week the Quell's coming to town, I'm out of town, so we can't do it that week because I'm setting it up. And
So it's his next visit to Cleveland.
So it'll be his next visit after that.
All right.
I'm
Well,
not running. Listen,
We can make it
I'm not
work.
running DeQuell. This has nothing to do with me. I'm ready.
Sure.
Yeah, I'm going to be on
shoot.
vacay
Okay.
that
Let's
week.
go.
Quill, take me to this third uniform, man.
What you gonna do? What would you on a third? If you had a third uniform, you've been around a lot of players. What's one of the wish list items that you've always wanted as a player that there's just like you're not getting that off?
Man, you know, right before I joined on, I heard you say that metallic helmet, or I heard Bull say that matte color.
Yeah.
Man, if you could somehow incorporate that matte color in that helmet, I think that would be surefire.
Yeah, that would be
in my
awesome.
opinion. But we all players always like to wear. I think the darker colors, all solid dark colors.
Yep.
From jersey to bottoms and black cleats. It just. I don't know. It just did something to you. You always paid attention to Pittsburgh, for instance, when they would come in or we would go to them and they wear that all black. It just it just hit differently, from a player standpoint. But I don't know. When I got to Indy, man, the all white uniforms, they looked too just vanilla. I'm here to play around. It didn't give me what I wanted. But those all brown uniforms from the Browns, that was my all-time favorite. And this helmet, the helmet with the number on the side of it.
That was cool.
That was nice. I like that look. McNuggets?
Yeah, well, we've been talking about fashion, talking about uniforms. I don't think any of us can speak on fashion as well as our next guest joining us on the Gridiron Guys hotline, Aditi. Who also came back from vacation, and DeQuell was on vacation. Thanks for the invite from both you guys. I appreciate it. But they both are back from vacation, and now let's talk a little about uniforms.
But
Aditi,
I got a great story. Wait, McNuggets, I've got a great story. So I'm standing on line. My husband and I took the kids to Hershey Park and Chocolate Town, and then we went to this little place called Dutch Wonderland in Lancaster, PA. So I'm online at a little ride in Dutch Wonderland. And remember, the last time I was on with DeQuell, he was talking about this fancy trip to Nemacolin and how awesome it would be and et cetera, et cetera. So I'm online for this ride, and there's this guy there, and he's like, hey, are you the girl that talks about the Steelers all the time? Are you the Steelers reporter? So blah, blah, blah. We get into conversation, and he says that he's originally from outside Pittsburgh, and he goes, I'm really near Nemacolin. So I say, oh, yeah, I've never been there. I don't have a husband who takes me there. And you know what the guy says? Rich people go there. That when you have So I was like, I can't wait to see DeQuell and tell him
our own version of Brady.
When I was there, this one I really knew I was in the right place, right? So I'm the first night we're at dinner with the kiddos and we're having a good time. And across from us is this family, nice looking family. And there's a guy with a massive head, right? And I'm like, I know he must be an actor or something. And I couldn't figure it out. So it's driving me crazy. The next morning, we're picking up the kids from Kids Club. And lo and behold, I was so embarrassed. It was Alan Faneca. I did not recognize him because he had lost so much weight. And at that moment, I told my wife for years when we first started dating, he was my welcome. He gave me my welcome to the NFL moment. So I actually brought it up in front of his wife and kids. And we just, that entire weekend, we hung out, exchanged contacts. So I knew I was in the right place anytime a Hall of Fame was there. So we had a great time. And it was a great, oh man, I did the clay shooting and oh my God, I can't wait to go.
Yeah,
back.
it's a lovely place. It's a real lovely place. And
clay shooting.
Yeah, clay shooting.
How hoity-toity is that?
He went to the polo match.
Hey, DeQuell, Mel Blunt's charity outing, which he wants me to help with in August, has both golfing and clay shooting. You want me to tell him that you want to come?
You want
to
absolutely. I would love
another
to.
Hall of Famer.
I would love to. I don't know if I'll be welcome, but I'm not a Hall of Famer. But I'm in for the experience.
I'll send a message. I know some people. I don't know people to get me into Nemacolin, but maybe I could get you into Mel Blunt.
Aditi.
I think
that's only for rich people.
DeQuell's going to have to start breeding show dogs now, too.
Hey, McNuggets tried to get some video or photographic evidence that DeQuell was hanging out with all of these upper crust people. But what did you come through?
No, DeQuell put it on his Instagram story, so you can't save it. He was smart. If he had posted it, there was videos of him clay shooting. There was videos.
I had a feeling you were up to something.
Listen, I'm just trying to make good content for the people, and if you're gonna put it out there, DeQuell, we're gonna show it. But
I have more videos. I got some videos I can see.
Next time you come out,
even my wife did the clay shooting, and I was I was highly nervous. I'm like, listen, point the gun away from your face and away from everything else. And she did all right.
Right there.
She'll never go back.
Looked like you had a pretty good shot, DeQuell, and that's not a joke.
Well, I only posted the shots that I hit, so to be fair.
The Quell was like this. Pull.
You know what? I think I saw you the other day. What you didn't know is I work at Nemacolin part-time on the weekends. I'm the help. Like I get the lawn and stuff together. You know what I'm saying?
Okay. You could have been in the car.
He riding the skag.
It's all good. I love it.
Nemacolin is a fun place, and I do think we should all take a road trip there.
Wait, Jay, you've been?
I have been, and it is awesome.
Thank you.
I didn't want to be.
There we go.
They had to throw me off the property.
He about to throw the quail under the bus.
No boats.
Look, who else been there? Who else been there?
I got to give him the Warren Sapp face.
Give it to me. Let me see it. Stevie, you got to give me a tight shot of G. Bush right now.
The Warren Sapp.
Give me the eyes.
Oh, yeah.
That boy Jay. That boy Jay.
Oh, my God.
I was hunting
That is so good.
These dudes, these rich people in here telling me about Nemacolin. I don't know. I don't know how to spell Nemacolin.
Listen, I had a day pass. And they had to admit
it's a day pass now, right?
They had to me off the property.
The quail, now he got a day pass.
Now he's got a day pass. Okay, all right. So he had a day pass that he didn't pay for.
Get back to the story. Get back to the talk. Talk about Steelers and Brown. I'm going to sit over here and just imagine what
I want to
Nemacolin
hear
looked
more
like.
about the new friendship between Faneca and DeQuell.
Oh, listen. So he actually put me on. The guy was so graceful. All the kiddos were in the pool one day, and we just had a conversation about just life, and it was good to just catch up and talk to a Hall of Famer. He didn't look anything like himself. But one thing you cannot hide is that big, massive head of his.
Wait,
but it was cool.
It was cool. About that. So DeQuell, he obviously, just like you said, he looks so different. He doesn't have the long hair. He doesn't have all, the jowls and everything. His Hall of Fame bust, by the time he got in, he looked like he looks now, but he chose to have that bust look like what he looked like when he was that big, disheveled dude. Is that what you would have picked?
Oh, yeah, no doubt.
Really?
Yes, I would have definitely gone with the heavier set, better. Yeah, I would have definitely gone because no one would recognize.
But doesn't he look so much better now?
Oh, he does. I was like, dude, what?
Now.
I'm like, what's your plan? I need to lose 10 pounds. I'm like, what's your plan? And he just went on this tantrum. I'm like, well, I can't stop drinking socially, so that's out of the question. So next conversation.
That's not going to happen.
That's fantastic. I think that should be a great reality show. Faneca and DeQuell hang out.
It would be. He actually put me on another place. It's very rich. It's probably rich enough for you, Jay. It's a blackberry farm. So if you get a day pass, that means you probably went for free, and it's very expensive.
G. Bush also works there part time too.
Oh yeah, I work there. Listen, hey, they can't find workers. There's a shortage. They giving me $50 an hour up there. I make 6 figures working at Nemacolin. Free benefits and everything. I seen Aditi up there say, "Hey girl, what's up, Aditi?"
There's the bust. There's the bust. Yeah, you know what? That's a good look for Allen. I mean, you're right, because DeQuell, if he goes in with what he looks like now, people won't recognize him. It's like the Baker Mayfield statue at Oklahoma. Doesn't look anything at all like Baker Mayfield.
Right.
Well, because they were really honoring someone else, they had to pretend it was Baker.
Heady little bull.
Hey, Aditi, do you like the white Bengals uniforms? Have you seen the mock-ups? What do you think?
You know what? I haven't because, like I said, I was riding roller coasters.
Uniforms, guys.
They fire. They crazy.
Hold on, they're going to put them up right now.
I agree with DeQuell. I love the Steelers all black. I mean, that might be the best uniform.
Yeah. There you go. There's the Bengals, white ones. What do you think?
Solid.
I mean, it's hard to argue with Jamar Chase in anything, right?
Yeah.
I mean, they're nice. I just don't really love all white. There's something about the white that just doesn't seem as tough. I do like the helmet because it's a little different.
Yeah.
But it kind of looks.
Hey Jay, do you mind if I ask Aditi a question?
No, of course.
The white
Go.
tiger.
Aditi, do you have any idea what this means? Do you have any idea?
She does not.
She has
no idea. If you weren't in Columbus in 1986, you have no idea what that is. No idea. No one remembers that.
Brad, I will bring you another bottle of whiskey. I promise you.
Yeah, you
Wait, what?
At least
What
one.
does that mean?
Brad,
now you got to
tell her what
explain
that
it to
means.
her.
Tell her what that means, Brad.
Aditi, in a short summary, there was a game in 1986 between the Ohio State football team and Ohio State basketball team that I orchestrated and playing just a pickup game just to prove who was better than who. And Ohio State football ended up beating Ohio State basketball. And Ohio State basketball had 2 top 10 NBA picks, first round picks. It was just, and I won't live this down. So Keith Byars, Chris Carter.
Yeah, but were the NFL players playing clean, or were they throwing elbows?
No, they were playing,
were they playing dirty?
They were playing clean. It wasn't dirty.
No, well, Keith Byars did it. He was on earlier. He admitted that if they were calling fouls, you
they
guys
all
might
would have fouled out.
Yeah, but you know
They weren't trying to hurt you.
No, we wasn't crying.
Yeah.
I mean, you take a blow, right?
Yeah.
No thing.
No blood, no foul.
No blood, no foul.
McNuggets,
You
jump
know,
in.
this is a really good segue, because tomorrow I am playing softball with a bunch of former guys from Ohio State, including Cam Hayward, Malcolm Jenkins.
Oh, yeah.
It's basically a team of Steelers against some Eagles, some professional wrestlers, Jalen Rose, sorry, wrong team, I know, and me.
Wow.
Ooh.
We need video,
That's
Aditi.
it. They're all professional athletes except for me.
Where's that?
And when
Aditi?
I asked Cam Hayward, when I asked Ohio State's Cam Hayward and Pittsburgh Steelers' Cam Hayward, are you inviting me to play because I'm your friend, or you want me to make a fool of myself? He said, we'll see.
I
I don't know how this is going to work out, guys.
I'm glad you mentioned these Steelers, Aditi. I have a question for you, and then DeQuell, I want you to chime in after, but no more Heinz Field. How do you guys feel about the name change as the iconic, probably name of a stadium in the NFL?
Can it be iconic
if I give
it's
you
named after a product, really?
Yes, Staples Center is iconic.
All right, fair enough.
Aditi, you go first, then DeQuell.
Okay, so as a reporter, I can't remember when I ever said Heinz Field. You know, it was usually like I'm live here in Pittsburgh or outside the stadium, or we're here in even the Steel City. I don't know that I said here at Heinz Field all that much. So that's one thing. Pragmatically speaking, the Steelers got way less money than they should have because the late ambassador Dan Rooney wanted to be affiliated with a local company. And so Heinz was the local company that paid them whatever for those naming rights. And yes, it is really iconic. And yes, it does speak to the city of Pittsburgh. And yes, those ketchup bottles are kind of sweet. But why shouldn't the Steelers make the money that is ready to be made? And there were plenty of other local companies like Iron City Beer. People could have foot the bill if they wanted to. American Eagle is headquartered here. And I just think that we get wrapped up in nostalgia sometimes. And sure, it feels weird. Acrisure Stadium. It doesn't exactly roll off the tongue just yet. But at some point, I mean, it was Enron Park, and then it became Minute Maid Park. You know, like, it just, I don't know. I feel like the Steelers have left a lot of money on the table as an organization for a long time. Why not get back into the game? Of course, it's easy for me to say that because I'm not a local Pittsburgher.
Aditi, G. Bush had a great idea on what it should be named. You want to explain your plan to her?
Yeah, so I'm going to have U.S. Steel sponsor the deal. They have about $28 billion in revenue. So the name of the stadium is going to be the Steel Mill, and it's going to be fire.
See, that's a great idea. That would be a great idea. Why couldn't U.S. Steel foot that? I mean, $10 million a year? It's not like it's an obscene amount of money for a huge corporation. And if nobody locally wanted to do that, then why should the Steelers be penalized for going and finding a buyer?
And I don't know that there's a better fit between a name of a stadium and a name of a team than that right there. The Steel Mill? You got to go into the Steel Mill?
DeQuell, no. That sounded awesome. Think about you having Ben Roethlisberger. You got to go the bus. You got to go to the Steel Mill and beat the Steelers? Sorry,
That's
not happening.
Right, that's intimidating. And I agree with all the points that Didi made. It's like, listen, if there's dollars to be made, go make those dollars. But as a player, the nostalgic about it is, you know, for me, it's going to be Heinz Field until something else happens. But you know,
for me, it's not. Again, it wasn't Heinz Field. It's Three River Stadium.
Yes.
It's Three River Stadium.
Did you hate, as a player for the Browns? Did you hate the Steelers as much as the fans do, or did you not? I mean, was it just equal, or did you hate it? Like, how were your hate rankings in the division? Bengals, Ravens, Steelers, or was that not even a thing?
That was the first education I got when I was drafted. You must hate the Steelers. And at the first half year, I was like, I don't know. But then you realize, you dive into the history. Absolutely. After that first year, I couldn't stand them. I hated playing them. And I only beat them one time in my 8 years I played them. So, but they you know, for me, it was. I love the way they played, the style of defense. They played with this intimidation. And every year, we could always count on Joey Porter with his, you know, walking through our stretch line, just intimidating everybody. And I always secretly wanted to be like them. So again, I definitely dislike them as much as a fan.
That thing runs deep because I mean, you think about the quality of players that the Steelers had as an organization. And then I just remember the day that Turkey Jones slammed Bradshaw on the ground, and I thought he a paralyzed kid, right? I mean, it was some serious football going on. There
was
hatred
right? there for sure.
It was a game.
We've got some video that McNuggets really wants to work into the show, so take a look at the monitor here. There he is. Quell Jackson.
Pull. Can you see the bird? Oh yeah. I was in my element, man.
Look at that.
Watch this. I was hyped. I was so hyped. So the guy was only 19 years old who was teaching us how to shoot and do all that good stuff, which was kind of head scratching at first, but I realized he was one of those guys that looked like he can shoot anything, a bow, a gun, any type of handgun, whatever it was, but we felt comfortable. But that's definitely something my wife will probably never do again. She couldn't handle the torque of the gun, but I had an amazing time.
Yeah, the recoil can be real. I mean, if you're not ready for that thing, it can knock you off your feet. Aditi, Browns white helmets. Would you be for those? We showed some pictures earlier. I thought they looked great. She's saying no way.
Don't like that.
I need to see him. I need to see him.
Mikey, can we? There you go.
Tag board's amazing, guys. The power of tag. That's the quote video. He texted me 2 minutes ago. We got it up already.
Tag board's smoking.
Literally.
Right now. What do you think, Aditi? I kind of like it.
Yeah, it's actually a little bit better than I expected, I guess. I like color.
Now, Didi, hold on. Here's how you know. If you guys are listening in Berea, here's how you know you need something different. Didi, where would you rank the Browns' uniforms in the AFC North?
Third.
Wow, they're better than someone's?
Who are they better than?
You don't think they're better than the Bengals?
Definitely not.
No, definitely not.
No, I like the Bengals.
Because the Bengals have
I like an old school look. Like, yes, I love the Steelers all black uniforms, but the Browns just connotate sort of an old school mentality, and the Bengals just seem a little like we're trying to be hip. I don't know. The Bengals uniforms have never really done it for me.
Huh.
I'm sorry,
They
Adam.
have the better earth tone. They have the better earth tone. Black there's the much better neutral. They both have orange. I'll take the black. And those white helmets, they're morphed into Power Rangers. This is the white tiger. The white tiger Power Ranger right here. They're ready to roll, man. What do you mean?
So I agree.
Dan, I just say, I don't know. I disagree. I like the orange in the Browns is different than the orange in the Bengals, and I like the Browns orange a little bit more. It's a little bit more close to the rust than the neon orange.
I give you that. I give you that.
So I agree with Aditi. I like the Browns third. I mean, the Browns uniform goes to the Bengals.
Joey Porter. I mean, remember Joey Porter getting on a bus, wanting to fight Ray Lewis? Remember, that mentality? Yep. Who in the league today really has that? Who's an enforcer like that? Who's you just look at him and you're scared? A James Harrison. Who's like that?
I don't know that we have that guy.
First thing
I don't think the league wants that anymore.
By the way, the first thing I think of with Joey Porter is when he was a coach with the Steelers and he went on the field against the Bengals.
And he picked a fight.
He was completely out of line. Should have been kicked off the game. Should have been called for a penalty. And as usual,
the
Steelers got a call always.
Okay, but it was brilliant. He knew that Vontaze and Adam were that Adam Jones and Vontaze Burfict were about to boil over.
Two of them
took advantage of it. I mean, he took advantage of it. Remember Vontaze Burfict running into the tunnel with that interception? My God.
Don't get me started on that guy.
Yeah.
When we talk about rivalries, I do think that rivalries are absolutely the best part of football. After covering the entire league for more than a dozen years, I really do think that the rivalries in the AFC North are something magical. I mean, they're better than the NFC East rivalries, which are just hate. But the Browns-Steelers one, for me, and I've got 10 years, 11 years here in this part of the country, the Steelers Ravens, there's always been this massive respect, there's just, these are just two organizations who go about it the right way, but in completely different ways. I mean, John Harbaugh and Mike Tomlin, I would argue, are both players, coaches, just in very different ways. And as much as they hated each other on the field, you knew that there was a mutual respect. The Bengals and the Steelers for a good 5-year period were just as ugly as could be. I mean, every one of those games was good for at least 10, 15-yard penalties.
It was awful.
The Browns and Steelers, I've been waiting for them to get after each other. You know, I moved here and my husband just had this hatred for the Browns. And I was like, I don't get it. This is like hating the Little Sisters of the Poor. You know, like they're terrible. They don't compete with you. You have their number. Why do they get under your skin so much? And then there was the year where the Browns beat the Steelers twice. They beat them in the playoffs. You feel like, okay, this is what it is. So are we going to see that now? Is that coming back?
We better.
I'm upset. We get that. Better. And will that be better than Steelers Ravens?
Well, here, Aditi, to your question, I will say this one, and this is going back. When you talk about Steelers Ravens, for those that have been around here long enough, that's really Steelers Browns. That's exactly what that is. That carryover with Ozzie and them going over to Baltimore. That's what that was to me early on when on the first departure.
Well, they were both good.
Right, and now
to make a rivalry, both teams have to be.
So now where we are, the Browns have to up their ante here, right?
Well, the Browns have the better quarterback for the first time in 20 years.
So now it's not just the quarterback.
Well, I don't know. Is Jacoby better than either of the Steelers guys that we're talking about? He's our quarterback right now.
It really is a mentality here, right? It used to be here in this town when that Steelers Browns showed up here, that meant business. That meant you had to bring business here.
Yeah.
And for a long time, it was no business. It was like us getting routed every time, right?
And I'm upset.
Yeah. I'm like Ohio State, Michigan now.
I'm the youngest dude on the panel, and frankly, it pisses me off hearing old people talk about what it used to be. It makes me mad. Like, cause I'm gonna say this, man. I can't live off no 85 and 86, man. And that's
let alone the 56.
Let alone the 56. And that is why, I'm letting everybody know, if you say, why would the Browns go out and get Deshaun Watson for this damn reason right now?
Well, I can't watch no trash, so.
I ain't about to sit here and talk about big games.
I'm tired of watching trash. So
you have watched it for so long that at this point, we'll sign up with anybody that can win.
Sign us up.
How old are you, G. Bush?
I'm only 40.
Okay.
I'm a young 40 though too.
Distinguished 40.
Work it, G. Bush. Work it. I don't know if 40 constitutes as old or young now.
Nah, it's still young.
In the middle.
That's young.
It's kind of
Hey man, I appreciate y'all, man. Y'all have a good weekend.
Yeah, Aditi. Well, we love you guys. Thanks. Have a great weekend. We'll see you both next week. Bring that sign. Toast us out.
Rubbing it in our faces.
That's right.
You guys, happy Friday.
He going skeet shooting later.
See you guys.
My fatigue on and everything.
Hey, who here has enjoyed the bottle that DeQuell brought us of the bourbon?
Well,
I have not had it since we had it here.
I can't tell you, Mikey still ain't giving me my bottle yet.
I haven't touched it. It's still sitting in my apartment.
See what I'm saying? I'm here every week.
I haven't touched it yet.
I'm here every week, bro. You know the days, bro.
Well, so I think what's going to happen is when DeQuell brings that sign, he's also going to bring at least one or two.
Hey, that good bottle. You gotta. We call it. You gotta pinky that. You gotta.
Yeah, exactly.
You gotta pinky that.
That's a Nemacolin bottle of bourbon.
Let that reserve. Let that marinate.
That thing is not coming out of Nuggets' apartment yet. They're like, he still got it.
It's really good.
It's sitting there. My dad asked me last weekend. He
They're
goes,
about to crack it
"Did you
open,
buy this
see what I'm
yourself?"
saying?
I said, "Nah."
So he knows
They're
that
about to
bourbon.
crack it open.
Oh, it's one of my dad's favorites. Yeah, he was really proud of me until I told him DeQuell got it for Brad, and I kind of jacked it.
They was sipping on it the other day. Don't worry, it's just
But I have not touched it, Brad. It is still there for you. I will bring it in.
No, keep it. DeQuell's going to bring Brad his own bottle.
DeQuell's going to bring me a new one.
He is.
At least
I hope so.
At least McNuggets knew
So
what the
you want to
game
stick
was.
Brad with the used one and you get the new one? Get out of
But
here.
you know what? We actually took all the shots out of your bottle, which is now McNuggets' bottle.
So he's got to
Stop
keep
giving
that,
away my
Brady.
secrets. That's why I'm gonna give this one back, and I'm taking the new one. Hey, but we got to do Ultimate 5 real quick. We got a couple things we got to run through. We don't have to rush through them, but
What's
we're gonna
this
get to
awful
them.
list? You didn't tell us what
This
it was.
is not the Ultimate 5.
Oh,
The
okay.
awful list is next. This
Oh,
is a
okay.
good list first, then a bad list. It's
Okay.
a little yin and yang action.
Round
And as
Stone.
always,
Round
the Ultimate
Stone.
5 is sponsored by Roundstone Insurance. Roundstone offers a better alternative for affordable quality health care. For more than a decade, Roundstone Insurance has been saving small and mid-sized businesses money, an average of 20%. 20%. Contact us today to learn how you can get great health care benefits that your employees will love and save money too. Bull, take it away.
Round stone, round stone, round stone, round store. I sent you guys a picture. I didn't know their headquarters was in Lakewood. It used to be a church right next to the Taco Bell over there.
Right. Who would know?
And across the street from the library on Detroit Road in Lakewood. I was driving there. I was going to the dentist yesterday. Shout out to my dentist, Dr. Dowd. I was worried I might have to miss work today because she did a filling, and I feel fine. I feel totally fine today.
Wow.
But anyway, I passed their place. Sent everybody the picture.
Brad's laughing at your dental talk.
Hey,
what's so funny about that?
I like Bull because Bull gonna give you everything. He gonna share everything.
Yeah.
He ain't gonna hold nothing.
The clip is empty when he go home. The clip is done.
Here's what I'll tell you about Bull.
Yeah.
I think I emailed you this the other day.
You did.
I've worked with a lot of characters.
You have.
35 years in this business.
Yes.
I got the road marks on my back to prove it. Okay?
Right.
Bull is the most real, authentic, and genuine
I
dude
read your text.
I have
Ever. I should have changed. I'm a mess. I look so grubby today.
Bull, you look great. Don't change, Bull. Don't change a damn thing.
Well, before you flip it, that's why people like this show, right? Because
I think so.
The authenticity of people here, right? We just
Yeah.
regular Joes here.
We don't hide anything.
We don't hide nothing, right?
Yeah.
And before we get to that, I need y'all to get up out there and get them subscriptions up. We need 11.
Oh yeah,
We
let's
got
push that.
11,000.
Let's push
I
that.
told
We
the
got 500
barbershop
new ones this morning, so thank you, G. Bush. For
That's
that.
all on G. Bush's. You tweeted that? Did
Yeah, I
you
tweeted that. Yeah.
You wanted your barbershop fam to come help.
If you on Locked On Browns, we moving over there. You in the barbershop game, we moving over here.
Yep.
Hey, I told them they needed 11. I said, hey, listen, don't worry about
Where
it.
are
got
we
you.
right now?
We're going to get that 12.
Very close to 10,000. Very close to 10,000.
Okay, so and the goal was 11,000 by
the end of the month. We're right on pace.
Or you have to go up on a billboard for 30 days with no food or just water, right? Isn't that it?
Or he had to do the Peloton video I saw this morning with the guy from
9,740.
You saw that, Jay? Jay, did you see that, Jay?
9,740.
All right, we're getting there.
We'll get there. We'll get there.
Two things to say before, or one thing to say before we get to top 5. DeQuell just texted me in all caps, said, "Give that man his damn bottle." On Monday, I'll bring in the bottle. DeQuell, he gets me a new one when he comes in August. I have not touched it, Brad. I swear it has sat there in perfect care.
But
since.
did you see what he just did there? He's going to give you a bottle that 6 shots.
Hold on, there's no guarantee
have
DeQuell's
been
going to bring a
poured
bottle.
from.
Ain't no guarantee.
And then he's
DeQuell's
going to
doing
take the
that.
new bottle that DeQuell was going to bring for you. So he's going to twice steal the bottle that was intended for you.
Oh, yeah.
You're tricky, McNuggets.
You got to watch everybody around here.
He's slick.
You got to watch everybody around here.
All right, let's do top 5. This is a G. Bush submission from earlier this week.
Okay.
The worst unwritten rules in baseball.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
G. Bush, this is for you.
Thank you.
And let's start with
Thank
the
you very much.
pictures, by the way, a little weird. It's hard to find some of these unwritten rule picture-wise. But the fifth worst unwritten rule in baseball is don't walk across the pitcher's mound.
Yeah, that's real.
Yeah.
That's real.
So like if I'm coming from the outfield or I got thrown out at
But
first,
nobody ever does that.
I
though.
can't.
Well, of course they don't because they know not to.
Right, but there are other unwritten rules that players actually break.
So I can't run on top of the mound, or if I got thrown out, even if it's a third strike.
No, can't do it.
What, you got to run around it?
You got.
It's like walking into an NHL locker room. No one steps on the logo in the middle of the carpet. Just nobody.
By the way, worst smell
I've seen-
ever is a hockey locker room.
Yeah, it's pretty
That's
bad.
the worst
Oh,
smell.
my God.
I'm gonna defer to these two. I've never heard of that. But yeah, that's kind of crazy. I
Yeah,
can't
that's
run
the
on the
pitcher's.
mound.
That's the pitcher's territory, and you just have to respect it.
Is that why they're always hopping over it?
They'll walk around it. They'll run around it. No one ever. You'll never see a guy run.
They
through
hop over the foul line.
Yeah,
You're
some
not-
guys that are superstitious.
Superstitious,
They
yeah.
won't touch the. They won't touch the foul
This
line.
is getting good. All right, that's the first one. I
All right,
didn't
he
know
never
about
heard that one. So
Dang.
G. Bush, I think you'll probably know 3 of these. 2 of these you may never heard of. Number 4, though. This drives me crazy. This is what G brought up the other day. Don't swing at a 3-0 pitch if you're up. G. Bush,
If you're
you're
what?
swinging. G. Bush is swinging.
Bro, listen.
Wait, don't swing at a 3-0 pitch in what?
And if your team is
If your team's
big,
up, if your team's up.
you don't swing at a 3-0.
Well, in that case, that was half of my home runs right there. They said, "How you hit a home run all the time?" I said, "I swing as hard as I can every pay." Like I'm going to 3-0. That's a fastball. If you threw me curves the whole day, I'm hitting that. What do you? I need to get to the fastball. What do you mean I can't swing if we lose, if we up big? I need my average to go up, dog.
You know what? Let me put it into your language. The score of a football game is 52-0.
Right.
There's a minute left and it's 3rd down. Your quarterback is going to drop back and throw a deep ball? That's the equivalent.
I got zero problem with either of those things.
I know you don't because you just give zero you-know-what.
Because you're a professional athlete.
But there is decorum, Brad.
That's just like
Talk to the decorum of it.
The last of NBA game. Or listen,
and you try to
you're not going to shoot a three.
Don't be shooting no three here.
Yeah.
Oh, Russell Westbrook was.
And every time it does, they do it. Somebody's a melee because you breaking the rules here.
Okay.
Right? Or
But basketball players don't know how to fight anymore, Brad.
In my day, somebody would get laid out. Right?
Yeah.
Back then, especially when you played.
You stand there and dribble that thing out right there.
That's a respect thing, and I do get that. When the game is over and there's nothing left to be settled, if you're throwing a Hail Mary late in the game with the big lead, if you're shooting a three as the shot clock or the game clock rather is winding down and you don't need to shoot the ball, and if you're swinging on a 3-0 pitch or if you're stealing a base, that's kind of putting your face
now stealing, I get it.
Who was the Cavalier player that went for the triple-double?
Ricky Davis.
Yes,
And see what that started?
Right, exactly.
Right.
Guys on the other side they're pros too.
Well, let me ask you this. You go to kids, right? Sometimes kids playing football, they getting blown out. We running the ball, right? We running the ball. We ain't throwing the ball.
Yeah, with kids,
and
it's a different
and
story.
then they tell you, hey, that kid can't play because he scored 10 touchdowns on us.
Well,
what are you going to do with him? Just sit on
No, that's the children.
No, that's
have
different.
Children have it different.
That is
children
totally
have
different.
it different.
That is different.
The children.
Right.
What's number
when you're
3?
an adult, it's a problem.
Number 3, along the same vein, don't run up the score. In baseball, a sport that's so predicated on getting contracts based on stats, I hate when dudes just virtually give themselves up late in games because a single hit could be the difference of 250 versus 247.
Nobody ever does that, though. That's not an unwritten rule.
A single hit isn't going to be 3 percentage points.
You get what I'm
in your
saying?
batting
An RBI, all those things. You play to the last whistle. That's what I was always taught. There's no whistles in baseball, but I can't stand teams who just kind of pack it in late in the game and just say, hey, we're already
If you're
up by
playing
7.
for a personal milestone in your contract and it's late in the year and you get a $100,000 bonus if you get 100 RBI, the guys on the other team are going to understand that. They will. And everybody's pretty.
Are they plugged in like that?
Yeah, everybody pretty much knows.
That's
they
crazy.
Know.
Baseball.
I was at the last game at Municipal Stadium. Frank Thomas was going. He was battling with Albert Bell.
I remember that.
I believe it was the RBI total.
Yeah. Okay.
And
I remember that.
The Indians they didn't intentionally walk them. They worked around him. It was very obvious what they were doing. And the Big Hurt was furious. And I thought he was going to come to the mound. I thought that he was yapping with either the catcher or the first baseman after it happened. I thought that was Bush League for the Indians to do that.
Yeah, definitely.
I thought that was Bush League. And that's a perfect example. It's like Joe DiMaggio when he hit 400. Late in the season, I think there was a doubleheader. He had gone over 400, and his manager asked him, do you want to sit the second game? I don't want 400 that way.
No, right.
And he ended up getting more hits and hit 406.
Right.
So, like, last year, I think this happened when Jamar Chase played the last game against the Browns because he wanted to get the
rookie record.
Right.
And were you cool with that?
I didn't want him to play because I didn't want him to get hurt.
Right.
But I didn't care that he played. Like, I didn't care that he was doing it for that reason. I didn't have any problem with that.
I think professional players understand when people get milestones, right? We got that, right?
Yeah.
What we don't like is the cheapness.
Okay.
Don't get it the cheap way, right?
The thing that you'd say cheapness, the one thing in sports that I have more of a problem with than anything else was when Brett Favre laid down
sack.
So Strahan could
I'm a
get the
Giants
Strack
fan,
record.
and I was not happy with that.
No, that's
lame.
You can't be. It was lame. It was obviously orchestrated. It was obviously laid down to give him the sack.
If somebody hands
Strahan,
you it, I don't want that.
I want it that way.
I wouldn't want the record that way.
Yeah, I want to earn it.
That's like someone saying, wait, you're one home run from the record, and the pitcher tubes one.
Right, yeah.
For him to hit the home run. You don't want it that way.
No.
You want to earn it.
That's
Number 2.
Number 2, this one drives me absolutely crazy. You're not supposed to bunt to break up a no-hitter.
I agree with that.
We talked about that
should have been
earlier.
number 1.
Why? Because it's cheap.
No, wait, you agree with that's a stupid unwritten rule, or you respect that rule?
Well, it depends on the situation of the game.
Yeah.
If the score's 1-0,
yep,
and I'm bunting to try to get on base,
or even 2-0, because then you bring up the tying run
If I'm
behind
bunting to try to win the game, then I got no problem.
Yeah, but if it's 6-0 and the guy lays down a bunt,
that's lame.
First inning, and
that's Bush League for the batter to do.
I agree.
Why?
Yeah.
If I'm Kenny Lofton, I'm laying that bunt down.
If you're bunting, if you're bunting just to break up a no-hitter, that's lame. Earn it.
So
Earn it.
Let me ask you this, McNuggets. Here's why it's lame. If it was 6-0, but the pitcher had given up 3 hits, is that hitter going to bunt?
No.
Maybe.
No, it's a bad strategy. You're not going to bunt in that spot.
If you're like Juan Pierre, yeah, you are.
If you Ichiro,
no, look, it is a little different.
No longer Juan Pierre's in the league.
Yeah, there's no more Juan Pierre's.
Ricky Henderson laying that bunt down.
How about that throwback name?
No,
though?
because
Giannis
Ricky
said
Henderson
bring
could
up
actually
Juan
hit.
Pierre in
Yeah,
this discussion.
I'm surprised McNuggets knew Juan Pierre.
I am too.
He was my favorite, like MLB All-Star 09 player.
I mean, really, to me, as a pitcher,
Okay.
the way I'm looking at it is,
Yeah.
if it's 2-0 and I've got a no-hitter in the 9th,
Right.
and the leadoff guy squares to bunt,
Right.
I totally understand that.
Right.
You
Yes.
are strategizing. You're doing the smart thing to give your team a chance to
Trying
win
to
the
get
game.
on base and have another guy come behind you, right?
If it's 4-0,
Can't do that.
and he squares to bunt,
Lame.
the next guy's going to get one in the ear hole.
It's cheap.
And he should.
It's cheap.
It's cheap. And so I'm okay with that as an unwritten rule. I know McNuggets isn't, and I know G. Bush is looking at it like, wait, what?
I'd be up there like, let me go ahead and lay this down. Nah.
D. Bush ain't getting up first on a bunt, though, so it doesn't matter.
Hey, if you Delino the Shields, you laying that boy down. I'm getting up out of here.
Let's get to number 1 before we get to the last
Like the
couple
original
topics
Delano
tonight.
Shields, who was good, or the bad one who was on the
original.
The
original.
Okay. Yeah.
This is the worst rule in all of sports, in my opinion. The worst unwritten rule. Take it. It's really bat flips. If you hit a home run,
That's no longer
is
an
so
unwritten rule. You
hard.
can do it now, though.
you still get play. It depends on the situation. If you hit a home run, hitting a baseball is the hardest thing to do in sports. It is so hard. And if you do, I think G. Bush said, if he hit the ball 400 feet off a guy throwing
There's
95.
There's going to be a parade around the bases.
Yeah. And I think it's absurd, even going back a couple years ago when it really was an issue. Let the guy celebrate. Like, I don't understand why it was such an issue, and I can't stand that players would get retaliated getting hit.
remember Joey Bats?
Yeah,
Batista was the king of the bat flip.
He had flavor on his joint.
Do you remember when what was his
Rudnet Odor.
Rudnet Odor. That was the best sports punch thrown
Ever.
Phenomenal.
outside of Rudy Tomjanovich wearing one in the face.
Right.
That I've ever seen.
Yeah.
That I have ever seen. I mean, Rudnet, he absolutely squared him up and laid him out. And just about all of baseball was cheering him for it. Because of the way Batista the way he bat flipped, that was as egregious a bat flip as you'll see.
Those bat flips are the version of the Mutombo stare down block, no man fly.
Yeah.
I've got no problem.
Jordan sticking his tongue out.
He said, let the kids have fun. That's part of the reason we're seeing a lot more. It's a part of the Latin culture of baseball.
Big time.
In Latin America, they celebrate home runs, and the fans love it. And most younger fans, the younger fans that like baseball, they want that. We need more of that in baseball.
As long as it's your team. Is there any way on your tag board gimmick that you can call up that punch?
Yeah.
I will work on it later when Bull's doing his Raging Bull, but
Okay.
let's get to, we have the next thing pulled up. This is the worst list. And we
By the way,
teased
real
this a
quick,
second ago.
because you mentioned real quick, 10 seconds. Because you mentioned Juan Pierre, it struck a memory in my head that there's a guy who just got called up, and I couldn't think of his name, who has a ton of stolen bases. His name is Esteri Ruiz. Just got called up a couple days ago by the Padres. This year in the minors, and remember, we're like at the halfway point of the season in the minors.
Sure.
He stole 60 bases.
Wow.
60 bases.
So he's got world-class speed.
And he's been up in the big leagues for 2 weeks. He hasn't played a lot, but he has one stolen base. But yeah, 60 stolen bases.
Yeah,
this
that's a lost
season.
art. Guys
We
don't
never
run
see
in.
it. Remember
Guys-
Vince Coleman? I mean,
Coleman, Ricky Henderson,
yeah.
Miguel
But that whole,
Villanay.
that whole Cardinal team. I remember that
Yeah.
one year Tommy Herr had 100 ribbies with like 8 home runs. All right, McNuggets, go ahead.
So I texted you guys last night
Yeah.
that I found a terrible list
Yeah,
online.
but that's all you told us.
Yeah, because
Or it has
I wanted
something
a
to do
live
with Ohio
reaction.
State.
That was intentional. So,
Okay.
Steve, let's punch this up here. This is PFF's top 10 quarterbacks in college football, and there are 2 massive errors with this list.
For starters, C.J. Stroud being
That is number
4.
1.
Right.
Can you guys figure out number 2, by the way? I'll give you about 30 seconds.
I can barely see
How
it.
is Spencer Ratliff 3?
Well, that's not the other issue, but that is an issue. I'll tell you, Keldon Slovis isn't even at USC anymore.
You're right.
He transferred. He's at Pittsburgh. So this list is
no.
not only factually incorrect, but the fact they have C.J. Stroud at 4 behind a guy who lost the starting job last year.
This is Pro Football Focus.
This is Pro Football
PFF
Focus.
is usually great.
So
they dropped the ball on this
Pro
one.
Football Focus College is an oxymoron. Stay in your lane. Why is there a Pro Football Focus College?
Now you go back to that list. You go back to that list really quickly. How can you have Spencer Rattler at 3 and he got his job taken by Dylan Gabriel, who's number 8?
And C.J. Stroud's below you.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it doesn't make
That's
any
crazy.
sense.
Yeah, that's
crazy.
insane.
Well, the guy
Stay in your lane, Pro Football
The
Focus.
guy who wrote it, his last name is Trash, right? Does it say Anthony Trash? I'm serious. I think it's
This better
Anthony
be,
Trash.
this better be truthful. It's the worst. It's the pettiest thing you've ever said.
No, look at
Let me
it.
see.
Anthony Trash. Oh,
It's Trish.
Trish. I thought it said Trash.
He said it's French. It's
thought
French.
it's trash.
It's actually really French. It's trash.
Oh, poor Anthony. Sorry, Anthony.
That is a bad list. That is a really bad list.
I just wanted to bring it up. We don't have to discuss it. I think we all agree it's terrible, but I just
Yeah.
wanted to show you that I was doing some research.
well,
point me.
again,
And I
Pro
found a
Football
terrible
Focus
list.
College?
I mean,
Pro
they
Football
break down the
Focus
draft and stuff like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, but
They
you're
do
Pro
great.
Football Focus.
Yeah.
You're focused on pro football.
True.
And you go out of your lane to talk about college,
Not
and you
good.
give us that.
Not
They
good.
don't watch it enough.
Yeah. Spencer Rattler at 3. Come on, man.
Yeah.
Leave that to college football focus.
University alliances on that. I like this team here. Okay.
All right. Are we going to go?
It's time for Raging Bull.
Wait. Oh, yeah. That's right.
It is time
for
for Raging Bull.
Oh, gosh. I can't wait to hear
Means
this.
that somebody is very upset about something.
Do we have
and-
video or sound bites
No,
from
we
this, or
couldn't play the video for some reason. I don't know what happened here. But so yesterday, I'm at home. I just come back from the dentist, as I shared earlier, much to Brad's joy. And I'm not. Yesterday I was a little sore, but again, shout out to my dentist. She did an amazing job. I wasn't really that sore. I thought it was going to be much worse. And I feel fine today.
Just a filling, right?
Yeah, but it was in a particularly tricky spot. There was a chance I was going to need a root canal, so she was a little concerned about it, but it went smoothly. I didn't even know when she shot me for the injection.
Those are the
or
worst.
for the
Novocaine.
The Novocaine, I didn't even feel it.
Wow.
So it was crazy. So anyway, I get home and I'm like sitting around. I look at Twitter and I see Tony Reale. Do you know Tony?
I do know
Yeah.
Tony and like Tony.
So Tony, I like him. I like the show. I like Around the Horn. I watch it. I don't watch it like I used to. I used to watch it more often, but once in a while I watch it. And they've got a whole new set of cast members. You know, Woody Page is there once in a while.
You can see that
Shaw.
they're kind of transitioning
But they're pushing
to a
out the
younger
older
crowd.
guys.
Yeah, that's
right.
exactly
So it's a lot of young guys and women on there. And I still like the show. And Clinton Yates I don't know, I can't remember what town he's from. I'm not saying that to be insulting. I don't remember what town. I think he's from somewhere in the Northeast. Maybe D.C. I don't remember. But he is on the show a lot, and I like him. I think he's good on the show. But yesterday, Tony Reale tweeted out some behind-the-scenes footage of the show in which Clinton Yates started saying that Bengals fans are one of the most passionate fan bases in America. And as a Bengal fan, even though I haven't spent much time in Cincinnati, I pay attention to what's going on with the Bengals and their fan base. And the Bengals do not have, I guess it's a passionate fan base.
It's not one of the most
but
passionate.
It's certainly not
it's
a
laughable,
top 5.
actually.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah.
And then he went on to say that they have a much more passionate fan base than the Browns, which, obviously everybody here is biased, right? So you're going to all scream at you, no, that's crazy.
But you're not.
But I'm not. I'm not from here originally. Obviously, I've lived here for a long time. Okay, I have loyalty to Cleveland because I'm a Clevelander and not a Cincinnatiite or whatever the hell it's called.
But you're a Bengals fan.
But I'm a Bengals fan my whole life. It's not close. So I'm saying this to Clinton Yates, and I tweeted I responded to the tweet and I said, hey, Tony, even though I don't know him, I'm like, Clinton is lost in the soup on this one. He's completely wrong. It's not even close, frankly. So Clinton Yates responded, and then he changed the whole argument. He was like, well, it became, well, but Browns fans aren't cool. And I'm like, what? That's not. First of all, how would you get determined, or me or anybody get determined who's got the coolest fans?
Who gives a rat's ass about
who
the
cares?
cool fans?
It doesn't even make any sense, and that's not what he said. He said the Bengals have a more passionate fan base. Then he said the only good Browns fans are the ones that go to the games, and the rest of the fans are not good. And I'm like, that's the second stupidest thing I've heard today. That makes no sense. He kept flipping the argument. And then people were calling him a clown. And I was still defending him on Twitter. I'm like, don't make it personal. Don't call him a clown. He's not, it's just a bad take. Okay. And then he starts insulting people. He insulted the whole fan base. And I said,
wait, the whole Browns fan base?
The whole Browns fan base.
By saying what?
Just saying that they like losers. They're rooting for losers. They like losers. Because people were saying, well, we go to games even when the Browns suck.
Well,
Bengal fans don't.
Bull, by saying that you root for losers, he makes your point.
Exactly.
Right. We are going to root for our team whether they win or lose. And we are, I think, the most passionate and faithful and loyal fan base in all of sports.
Browns fans are definitely in the top 5 of passionate fan bases.
There's no question.
There's no doubt about it.
But loyal too.
And I've lived and the Browns have, especially in the older demographic, Brad's age, no offense, Brad. But there are Browns fans all over the country. When I was growing up, I knew a number of Browns fans. Had Paul Brown not been kicked out of Cleveland like by that idiot Art Modell, I would have been a Browns fan too. I would have grown up a Browns fan.
Your dad never would have rooted for the Bengals.
He would have never switched, right? So the take is absurd. The Browns are. We all know the Browns. He wasn't saying that the Browns have Bengals have a bigger fan base because obviously that would be crazy. But to say more passionate is stupid. Clinton, take the L. And I'm telling him I said to him, just take the L. You're wrong on this one. And he was getting a little nasty. And it was he's like, well, I'm just doing my job. And your job is not to be a jerk to the and you know, I said SHIT on an entire fan base. That's not necessary. Why does Cleveland always have to take blows from national reporters? I don't get it. And Clinton had an air. What really bothered me is I was being classy, I thought, and I got no beef with Clinton, really. I don't know him. He doesn't know me. He probably thinks I'm some nobody. Meanwhile, Clinton, I got more followers on Twitter than you, even though you're an ESPN big shot.
But I don't know him, to be clear.
Yeah.
I never met him.
So he's a national guy. I'm local, but I got more followers on Twitter. So whatever. That's neither here nor there. But there's no don't be that guy. He's good. I like him on Around the Horn. I think he's one of the better guys on there. There's no reason to crap on an entire fan base just because you made a bad argument. We proved that you were wrong multiple ways. You changed the argument 4 times, and you kept being wrong. That's a bad job out of you, Clinton Yates.
I agree with you, 100%.
Agree.
Sometimes because if you're in the hot take business, you feel like you have to churn them out like lunch meat when you're just slicing. Here's another one, here's another one, here's another one. The problem with that, and I worked on a show for 10 years, that's what we produced. Our gross product was hot takes. What I always felt sorry for Skip and Stephen A. and all the folks that I worked with, because sometimes these guys are forced to say stupid things.
Yeah.
Because those are the things that really get traction on social media.
I don't think that was the case here because this was off the scenes, but maybe not.
I agree with you. And
I'll debate you, Clinton Yates. I'll debate Stephen A. Smith. I'll debate Woody Page. I'm confident in myself. I can debate anybody out there. I respect all the people that do it. I found he was being a little dismissive. You're some local puddly guy. I don't need to put up with you, whatever.
Right.
I sensed that in his responses, like he was some big shot and I was a nobody. And that's fine because I respect him and I think he's good at what he does. But don't diss the fan. Don't rip the whole fan base. That's ridiculous.
I don't pay attention to nonsense.
Yeah.
Right? Because if you are a sports fan or if you follow sports, you know where Cleveland ranks as far as its fan base in totality in sports. Cleveland.
Town's an easy target for people.
But you know what?
People are jerks.
What happens is you counteract that by winning. And I'll just point to the Cavaliers when they won the championship that year and that parade. You don't see a parade like that. I've been in this
in many
a long
places.
time.
No.
Long
listen,
time.
you see some other parades like that.
No, you don't
but
see
not a lot.
Not a parade that takes
the Cubs
14
parade,
hours.
the Cubs parade in Chicago was pretty crazy.
It was great. It was great.
But those are rare, those type of parades. And there's a zillion more people in Chicago than there are in Cleveland.
Well, Los Angeles is the second biggest city, and they had dozens of fans turn out for the Rams parade. Dozens.
So
it was embarrassing.
You sit here and you can't say that Cleveland's fan base is not up to par because it is, right? And there's not many places that here. We go down to the stadium. We hadn't had a winner in who knows how long, right? We're not shaking.
And the reason I always go back to this, and I think there's a lot of what goes on when the Browns got Deshaun Watson, right? Or the Browns got Odell Beckham Jr. back a couple years ago. One of the problems is sometimes when you used to be in the whipping boy, you used to be in the easy target, you used to be in the joke, the butt of all jokes. It's kind of hard for not to be the butt of those jokes anymore because now they have to accept you into the fold of saying
Into the cool kids. Right, into the cool kids.
Yeah, they pretty good right now. They got some stuff. Yeah. So I think it's a lot, and I always thought it was lazy.
And we're here for this reason. We're here like this. The Browns, and I'm older than all you guys, so I would tell you this: the Browns are my family.
Yeah,
that's who they are. They're my family.
I look at it the same way. I think that's what fans do. You'll stand up for them. It's okay for you to criticize them, just like family, but don't let anybody else criticize them.
Man, anywhere in the country, I tell you this: if your team, and everybody know this, if your team lose on Sunday, it ain't nothing like a Browns loss on Sunday, because I'm mad. You mad? My dad is mad.
Everybody mad.
Your dad. Everybody is pissed off, and you don't even want to. I don't even want to watch the 4 o'clock game. I don't care about 7.
And sometimes I don't even want to talk about it.
Yes.
Hey, guys, we
actually
have breaking news. This is serious news here. According to a statement from Tony Busby, all 30 women alleging sexual misconduct against Deshaun Watson have settled their claims with the Houston Texans organization. According to attorney Tony Busby.
Did it become 30?
I have a full statement here I'm going to read for you real quick. This is from Busby. It'll take a sec. Today, all of the women who have made or intended to make claims against the Houston Texans have resolved their claims. The terms of the settlements, to include the amounts paid each, are confidential. I will have no further comment on the allegations or the Texans' alleged role, other than to say there is a marked contrast in the way in which the Texans address the allegations and the way in which Watson's team has done so has been previously been reported. Only one of the 30 women who made allegations against the Texans filed a formal lawsuit. That particular lawsuit will be dismissed with prejudice as soon as the appropriate settlement paperwork is complete. The 4 cases filed against Deshaun Watson will continue, though he's speaking about Ashley Solis and 3 other women. We hope to try them all in the spring next year.
Wait. So that's contradictory. That's contradictory then. If you're saying that those 4 cases will continue, then how are you saying all 30 women alleging sexual misconduct against Deshaun Watson?
I'm reading the statement.
I know, but
just reading the statement here.
So go back and read that again from the start, because that's conflicting information.
That doesn't make any sense.
From all the women who have, this is from the beginning. Today, all of the women who have made or intended to make claims against the Houston Texans organization have resolved their claims.
Oh, the Houston Texans.
Yes.
Against the Houston Texans, yes.
Oh, that's a big difference.
Yeah, that's a huge difference.
It threw me off.
So I don't.
It threw me off in the beginning, but when I reread it.
Oh.
Because the way KPRC has worded that tweet.
So this really has nothing to do with Watson.
No, it has nothing to do with Watson.
Yeah.
It basically takes the Texans off the hook.
Yeah.
Legally, yes.
This is really. I mean, for us, it doesn't matter.
No, it's a non-starter for the Browns, because those cases, as you were getting to when I interrupted you, and I apologize, and I'll have you pick it up from that point. But as long as those cases, those civil cases with the 5 women, 4 or 5, whatever the number is, if they're going to go forward, that changes nothing for Deshaun Watson.
There's still 4 cases that are unsettled.
I do want to bring up this question.
Yeah.
If the Houston Texans have all done the settlement, all 30 women have dropped, right?
Yeah.
Now, what does that mean for any discipline from the league for the Houston Texans?
I don't think it excuses them from. They're still in the mix here. This is all in the mix with Watson, right? Because they just settled. They took their legal claims against them and settled it. It felt like it was best for us to settle and get out of that.
Yeah,
right?
I still think there needs to be a league investigation. No doubt.
It doesn't
absolve them of any wrongdoing.
If we're going to assume, which is not fair legally, but I think many of us do, if we're going to assume that there's some level of guilt for Deshaun Watson when he settles, then you have to have that same assumption for the Texans.
And to G. Bush's question, I think the league absolutely has to conduct an internal investigation into the Texans to see how culpable were they. Were they actually making it easier for Deshaun Watson to do whatever it was that these women have alleged?
Right.
And I G. Bush, to your point, I think that there's been enough talk and enough. This story's big enough. This isn't going to go away for them.
Yeah.
It isn't going to go away for them.
I don't think it admits any guilt on the Houston Texans part as a legal strategy and saying, all right, I'm not going to be willing to litigate this and the costs associated with it. It's just better for me to just sell it and come to some term and say,
every person has to make that decision for themselves.
Right.
Do you think that someone was legally responsible or in the wrong if they write a check to settle it? For a lot of corporations, guys, they have a pretty blanket, and you know this.
Yeah.
It's better to get it out of the way and get out of the publicity train than it is to just have these allegations swirling for 16 months like they have been against
financially,
Deshaun
it's going to cost you something anyway.
It is going to cost you.
So you decided just to pull the plug on it. Doesn't mean I did anything wrong, but instead of paying in the long run, I'll just pay it now and just be beyond it.
So McNuggets, then, to be clear here, the cases, the women that were alleging that the Texans were on the hook for some of this wrongdoing have settled all of their cases. So the Houston Texans, in terms of the civil liabilities, they are in the clear now.
But nothing's changed.
But nothing has changed for Deshaun Watson.
The last sentence of the statement Busby sent out says, quote, "The 4 filed cases against Deshaun Watson will continue. We hope to try them all in the spring of next year.
Right.
In the meantime, we will continue to do the important work to prepare for such."
Yeah, all right.
Yeah, okay.
Well, more on that next week.
So the Texans, for now, no civil litigation lying ahead for them. Deshaun Watson still named in 4 cases against him, but I
will say this: you think about that. The Texans got named just a short while ago.
Right.
Their strategy was to get beyond it quickly.
Sure.
Yeah, that's what they want.
Where Watson prolonged it out.
Yeah.
And because I'm sure he had a chance to try to bring this to a head too, right?
Well, and to your point, do you believe that, just looking at it from perspective, if you're hardened, do you say, hey, look, the Texans got rid of all 30, right? So and if you want to look at it from that's admitting that they did do something wrong, right? Do we want to go and just say, let's get these 4 out of the way just like they did?
I would think they'll try to. Right?
Yeah, I would think they would too.
Yeah.
But at the same time, Busby, I'm just guessing here. I'm just kind of trying to read between the lines. I don't think that the number on the 20 that have already been settled is a big number. I don't think, because even from what we found out from the league talked to 12 women, but they feel comfortable going with 4.
Right.
4 seems to be the hot number.
Right.
So I don't think that anybody got wealthy off of those settlements. And I don't think Busby is getting rich off of these Texans.
No, he wants these 4 to be big, so he's putting the pressure on.
He wants these 4 to stay in the limelight, to continue to put pressure on Deshaun Watson, so he can ratchet that settlement number up.
Yeah.
That's
we got to leave it here, guys. We got final
takes. And Bull, you are on the clock.
Yes, can I have my picture, please? Last night in the Guardians game, of course, Josh Naylor, who's had a tremendous season, hit a home run. And then later he caught a pop-up, and all of a sudden he went like this. Can you show me right now? Oh, he was holding his belly. He was holding his whole area. He was like, And they went out to look at him, and they were, on the broadcast, Rick Manning, who's always dour. Doesn't Rick Manning always seem dour? He's a very good analyst, but he always seems miserable. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's just, I don't know what it is. He happens to be a really good analyst, but he's always miserable. But anyway, so Naylor is holding it, and I'm like, they're trying to decide, is it a what's that hot new injury that always happens now?
Sports hernia?
No, I can't think of what it's called. They're discussing the different types of injuries can be. Let's be honest. As a man who knows these things, Josh Naylor pulled his fat. He pulled his fat. He has an injured fat. That's what he is. It's not a hamstring. It's not a quad. It's not a. He's chubby, and I love it. I root for all the fat guys in sports. Josh Naylor's fat. He's fat for a baseball player, and only fat people can call other fat people fat. Now he's not as fat as me, but listen, I know it, Josh. I love you. I'm rooting for you. I was a little down on you last year. I'm back up on you this year. I love you for being fat, but let's admit it. He didn't pull anything else. He pulled his fat.
I've never heard that injury before.
Never heard
That's fat.
Yeah.
It's new to me. So here.
Questionable fat.
Of course it's new to you. You haven't had an ounce of fat on your body since birth.
Oh, listen, I would disagree at points of time here. But let me say this. Let me move to my take here right now. I just want to say this, that there's been a lot of talking, obviously in the media, about Brittany Griner, her situation in Russia, and then I know LeBron James weighed in here shortly a little time ago. But let me just remind people here. Diplomacy takes a long time. You're watching the wheels of diplomacy turn right now, and they're churning very slowly. But believe me, there's motion going on, because I understand. Brittany Griner is caught up in it, and she is not in America, as we know. She's in another country, right? And in another country, other rules apply. And we have no sway with Russia right now. We have zero sway. So now we got to work through third parties and emissaries trying to get deals together. And trust and believe me, Brittany Griner is coming home, right? But she won't be coming home alone if I know this government is doing the thing that it needs to. Brittany Griner's coming home in a package deal with someone else. And in exchange, we're going to give somebody back to them. That's the only way this is going to go. And it's going to be a minute. So as everybody's taking these fresh, hot takes.
On both
right?
sides, they're out
on
of
these
line.
fresh, hot takes, sometimes.
Are you talking about LeBron?
Sometimes just
Yeah.
got to, because there's a game being played here that you have no idea what the stakes are, and the only person caught up in it are the people that are sitting in those 5-by-cell cells while you sitting in your house, right? So just let it alone and let it play itself out. The girl is coming home.
You know, we talked about it a little bit before. You know, I always call it selective morality. Some people smoke, some people drink, some people like to eat food a lot, and some people watch videos that they shouldn't watch, right? Everybody got their own thing. But when you compare it to the PGA and the Live tournament, there's a lot of people out here running around jumping up and down talking about what they would and would not do.
Get that money.
At the end of the day, I understand that money comes from lots of different places. Maybe you might buy shoes and it comes from sweatshops in China. Maybe you might buy clothing and it'll come from somewhere else. At the end of the day, all you got to do as a man is when you get money, you decide what you do with the money. Money, in principle, is a tool to be used. At the end of the day, where it comes from could be a problem to some, but it's ultimately what you do good with it. So you got an opportunity to go make $200 million, and it happens to be the Saudi government. Okay, cool. But what are you going to do to improve your community, your neighborhood, and the people that are disenfranchised? At the end of the day, it's what you do with money is not the money.
All right. I'm going to wrap it up with baseball. RBI is a program reviving baseball in the inner cities. Tuesday, along with Matt Colleague, I went out to Cleveland's RBI program. And I got to tell you, I haven't been that encouraged about the future of baseball in the inner city ever. These kids are coached by professionals. They have a professional turf field. They have professional uniforms. And because of the Guardians and the money that they give to this program, they are going to Chicago to play in a regional tournament. I watched these kids take infield, outfield, batting practice. I couldn't have been more proud. These are kids from the inner city that baseball desperately needs to come back to the game, that are playing the game at a very high level. Kids, I'm proud of all of you. Go get them in Chicago, and I'm super proud of our city and the Guardians for making this such a priority. Baseball is not dead in the inner city. And, oh, by the way, all 30 baseball teams, Major League Baseball teams, have this exact same program. It is phenomenal.
Yeah,
if you build it, they will come. They have a world-class facility. There were 40 kids on that field playing for the love of the game. We got to go. We're out of time. Tomorrow is a Saturday, so we're taking a 70-hour break. We will see you Monday.